10:01, good morning, broadcasting live from T-Line in West Nashville. I'm Lucas Panzica. Tennessee held off Mississippi State's comeback bid to win 73-64 on Wednesday. Jacoby Gillespie led with 18 points as the Vols improved to 17-7, 7-4 in league play. They return home to host LSU on Saturday night. On Wednesday, the list of 319 prospects invited to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis was revealed, with 114 out of the SEC, 6 from Tennessee and 2 from Vanderbilt. The Vols invited are wide receiver Chris Brazzell, tight end Miles Kitselman, defensive lineman Bryson Eason, outside linebacker Joshua Josephs, and cornerbacks coach cornerbacks Jermon McCoy and Colton Hood. From Vanderbilt, quarterback Diego Pavia and tight end Eli Stowers got an invite. The Winter Olympics continue in Milan Cortina. The United States is tied with Norway for second in the total medal count with 13, one behind host nation Italy. Team USA's men's hockey journey gets underway this afternoon against Latvia for a preliminary matchup. Puck drop at 2:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone, live from T-Line in Nashville. Buck's mic is not working. We're off to a roaring start. This is exactly how I envisioned our first remote of 2026. This is fantastic. Perfectly executed and planned.
You remember when I told you I don't like to do these? You remember that part? Good morning.
Now my laptop's going up. We are very excited to be here. I am very excited to be here. I'm looking at these 3 curling lanes. Do we call them lanes? We're going to be educated today. Robert, do we call them lanes? He says yes. There's also 4 bowling lanes to our left. There's a fully stocked bar.
Why are you talking so fast?
Right in front of us.
Calm down.
How long have you known me by now? Don't you come in here all grumpy. You're not going to yuck our yum today.
I'm not grumpy. I wasn't grumpy until my microphone didn't work when we started the show. What do you mean I'm grumpy?
You're not going to yuck our yum today.
I'm not doing anything. I'm here. I showed up. You told me I had to be here. I'm here.
We will have a good time despite you today.
Okay.
As we usually do.
615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate at any point. The F&M Bank chat is also available. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Did you sweat that basketball game out last night? 73-64 for the Vols at Mississippi State. Jacoby Gillespie, 18 points. It was a necessary second-half rally for Tennessee to be able to get that done against a Mississippi State team that's whatever.
Not good.
At this point in time. Nothing
good.
Particularly impressive. Yes, Kirby? Oh, okay. Kirby would like for me to adjust my microphone. Is that better for everybody? Okay, very good. Were you sweating that out last night? Because I thought we may be talking about a bit of a disaster situation as Tennessee needs to continue to stack wins and, most importantly, beat up on inferior competition to improve their tournament resume.
Yes, that was not a fun second half of the second half after Tennessee built up a 23-point lead and looked like it was coasting, and it's been a while since Tennessee has done that, just straight up dominated an entire second half of basketball. And then Mississippi State rips off an 18-0 run, makes it a 5-point game. They have a hard time containing Josh Hubbard, which most teams do, but in the end they survive. They pull away. Some fun plays late. The Bishop Boswell save out of bounds to Ament, back to Boswell, back to Ament for the alley-oop was a nice little stylish way to put away Mississippi State in that game. But yeah, not fun. Not fun to ride these waves the way Tennessee seems to. Their ability to be the best and worst version of themselves, not in the same game, but in the same half, is still mind-numbing at this point in the season as we get to about a month away from March Madness.
Yes, and as we mentioned, they are now 4-0. Well, I guess we haven't mentioned it yet, but they are 4-0 against Quadrant 2 teams, if you're looking at net rankings for the purposes of tournament resume as we get closer and closer to March Madness for Tennessee. And we'll talk about Vanderbilt, of course. We put it to a poll this morning At Buck Rising is where you can vote on the polls. We will update them at the end of the show. Who has the better tournament resume between Vanderbilt and Tennessee? 4-0 against Quadrant 2, so that's Texas, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Tennessee beat all 4 of those teams. Against Quad 1 teams, though, they're 4-7, with the wins coming early, primarily against Houston and Louisville, and then they have wins against Alabama, who was 17 at the time, and Georgia, a close one against Georgia that they won on the road, 86-85. But losing both games to Kentucky has been costly for them, understanding that they got their teeth kicked in by Florida. Florida's a very good basketball team who's obviously went through some early struggles at the start of the season, but has since ironed that out and looks like they may be contending for a national championship yet again. How do you feel about the current resume for the Vols? We'll talk about Vandy's here in a second, how it compares.
Up and down, this is just going to be a team that is going to have to hope it gets some good matchups in the NCAA tournament. You know, early on in the season, it's crazy. It feels like years ago that Tennessee was playing Houston and Vegas and getting that early signature win, and you're thinking, okay, this is a team that could very well be poised to make a run at a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and that win over Houston could be so valuable to that effort, and that has not been the case whatsoever. Tennessee's been very up and down, so at this point, it's about beating the teams you're supposed to beat and maybe being able to knock off some of the upper-tier squads left on your schedule, right? Tennessee still has to play Vanderbilt twice this season. They still have to play Alabama again at home. Those are probably the 3 toughest opponents remaining, not including the SEC tournament and however that shakes out. So to me, the goal is try and finish top 4 in the SEC and hope you get some good matchups in the NCAA tournament. But Rick Barnes talked after the game, courtesy of VolQuest, about this up and down thing that Tennessee is doing, and doing it almost to the tune of blowing a 23-point lead against Mississippi State last night.
That's the one thing I talked to him. I said, how do we let that happen? And again, to this team, they had an 18-0 run, like they were shocked. And you can't turn the ball over, give the ball to them out front. But and we had some open shots that you got to make, but you put it all together. We just went through a period where I thought we let up. And, yeah, you're always concerned. But, I mean, Chris Jan's a terrific coach. These guys aren't going to quit on him. And they got some guys. They make some threes, and we left one of their better three-point shooters open twice. And it goes back to concentration and not getting relaxed. And but it's kind of been the story of their team. We get a lead, and we start doing those things.
So that's Rick Barnes after the Vols were able to outlast, again, 73-64. So they pulled away at the end, but they very much needed that second half to do just that. Vanderbilt's resume for reference as we talk about comparing the two and understanding that Tennessee and Vanderbilt have yet to play this season. Against Quadrant 1 teams, again, net rankings is where you can look at these things. They are 7-3, the Commodores, right now. They've got wins over UCF, VCU, St. Mary's, Wake Forest, Alabama, Kentucky, and Auburn. Their losses, Texas, Florida, and Arkansas in Quadrant 2, SMU, Memphis, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Oklahoma was their loss, 92-91. They beat LSU as well, but that bad Oklahoma loss just kind of lingers on their resume as the only Quadrant 2 loss that the Commodores have. So Vanderbilt has the better resume at this point in time. Again, the costly nature of, and you know, the caller early in the week that got after me a little bit about getting on Kentucky. Kentucky has gotten better. I don't know necessarily what their ceiling is as a tournament team. They've obviously climbed up in the conference rankings at this point in time. With, you know, we've got about a month of basketball left to play, but those Kentucky losses for Tennessee are the biggest stain. I don't know if it's a stain necessarily, but it's the thing that's bogging them down the most.
No, the Syracuse loss is the thing that's bogging them down the most. That's by far the loss that has aged the most poorly. I mean, Kentucky is going to be an NCAA tournament team. They're a top 25 team. There's no question the floor for Kentucky still feels weirdly low with the ceiling being high, which has been the case for that team for the last 5 years. I don't know, towards the tail end of the Calipari era to the beginning of the Mark Pope era. But it's without question the Syracuse loss going back to November when Tennessee was on that 3-game skid after knocking off Houston. They lost to Kansas. They went up and dropped a game to Syracuse, who has not been good and has been incredibly inconsistent since then. So, yeah, that loss has bogged them down, and they've got an opportunity playing Vanderbilt twice to get a couple. Would those be quad one wins?
Yes.
If they are to beat Vanderbilt once or sweep them, then there's Tennessee's best opportunity to vault in terms of the seeding conversation.
Do you think there's any? I mean, obviously we have a little while. They'll play not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday is the first opportunity for Tennessee to host Vanderbilt, and then
No, it's the other way around.
Whose schedule am I
Tennessee
looking at? Okay, I'm looking
goes
at
to
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Sorry, I thought I was looking at Tennessee's schedule. So Tennessee will go to Vandy first, and then finish at Tennessee to end the regular season on March the 7th. Vanderbilt's next game is this Saturday, hosting Texas A&M, who again is a team that they should be able to handle at home. That Oklahoma loss is a weird one. Maybe that's just the one time that they stubbed their toe this season. Mark Byington's team had a rough middle of January, right? They dropped 3 in a row before they got right against that Mississippi State team, and then they just dominated them in playing at Mississippi State. But we'll wait, about a week before we see these two teams play. But right now, Vanderbilt appreciably the better tournament resume.
Yeah, seeing how Tennessee tries to contain Tyler Tanner will be interesting, because I think the Vols will have the advantage around the basket. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. I think they'll have a physicality advantage that a lot of teams seem to have had over Vandy this year. But just watching Josh Hubbard take over the way that he has, which, by the way, it is insane that Josh Hubbard is still at Mississippi State. That's a credit to Chris Jans and Mississippi State that they've kept in there, because all he's done is be one of the best scorers of the basketball in the country in each of his 3 years there. This is the best year he's had in his career scoring the ball, and he was dominant. He had 28 points in the first half and ended with 30+, and Tennessee's just able to contain him enough to survive. Mississippi State's second lead scorer had 9 points yesterday, but the Vols get it done, and they come back home for a very, very winnable game against LSU.
Okay, well, we can get back to some hoops coverage a little later on. We are at T-Line today in West Nashville. Lucas and Robert are going to take the ice at some point, it sounds like. Are you prepared? Have you been practicing? Did you watch YouTube videos?
I've been watching some Olympic curling. There's some more to watch later today, as we will get to our Olympic update at the end of the hour. There is a great deal that they're doing here at T-Line, which is a really cool spot. Sports bar, bowling, curling, darts, nice patio with a fire out front. If you go to 1045thezone.com, you can find a deal that gets you a 30-minute curling session and an appetizer for just $25. So come, bring your friends. You can bowl if you want, or you can learn how to curl and learn something new while it's all the rage during the Winter Olympics.
All right, we're going to have a conversation about how far away the Titans actually are in their rebuilding process. We've got tiers to assign to teams who didn't make the postseason this year, and we'll talk about where the Titans fall in that coming up next.
Welcome back to the show, broadcasting live from T-Line in West Nashville, where you can come curl, hang out, grab a beer, some food, some bowling. We are, of course, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken as we reach the finish line of this little exercise we've been doing, ranking the Titans' biggest needs heading into the offseason, with free agency up next and the draft right around the corner. 2 days ago, we went 12 through 9. Going back to front. Yesterday, we went 8 through 5, and today we rank the 4 biggest needs for the Titans from 4 to 1.
At 12:20. Today is when we'll do that.
I'm sorry. Did we not?
Did we not just talk this whole break about how you teased this?
No. What I teased was the rebuilding tiers, the thing that I said that I wanted to do.
Oh, that's not even close to what you said we were going to do here.
At 11:20. That's exactly what I said we were going to
Robert,
do.
is that what he said we were going to do here?
No, that's why I moved a chair over here
Right.
so that we can.
Oh, you no longer want to participate?
No, I'm going to go
Your
back
Ravens are on here. You don't want to have a conversation about your football team? You don't want to hear what nice things Jeremy Fowler had to say about your football team?
Well, maybe I'll sit down.
Okay.
For a little bit.
We all said we are going to rank Titans' needs here.
No. I said rebuild tiers. That's what I teased.
That is not even close.
You're going to have to rebuild
to
my
what's
tiers if you fake another tease about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't lie to
See,
us.
we don't even know
This
what
would
you
have been so
teased.
much easier if I just took the vacation day on everybody.
I wish you did.
I don't know why. The two of you forced my hand on this situation. No. What we have here is the link, Lucas, that is in your grid at 11:20 for the NFL's overhaul tiers for the 18 teams that did not make the playoffs and where the Titans stack up in that, given the tiers that we have. So there are a number of different ways to categorize these 18 teams, and Jeremy Fowler has done this on ESPN.com. The categories are no need to panic, a few moves away, you get to sneaky good trajectory, which is an interesting conversation about the 3 teams that are there. There's one team that is somewhere between contention and reset, in the middle of a rebuild, and then a handful of teams at the bottom in a full-blown overhaul. Now, I didn't give people that many options. I gave them 3. I said a few moves away for the Titans. I said about halfway there, or I said a full-blown overhaul. 615-737-1045 is how you would like, or how you can weigh in on this conversation if you would like to. Now, you can drive the rest of the segment.
So the tier that the Titans are, I'm so mad at you for this. You are absolutely ridiculous. You should just go home.
Guys,
okay. I mean,
Please.
No, we got him here.
If you'll let me, I will.
This is half the battle.
I would so much rather he leaves.
If you will let me, I would be more than happy to.
I am not stopping you. The category is in the middle of a rebuild that the Titans reside in alongside Cleveland. It's just the 2 teams, Browns and Titans, that are in the middle of a rebuild. The category behind them is full-blown overhaul, where you have the Cardinals and the Raiders, the Dolphins, and also the Jets. So he writes, under the Titans, the hope for a quick turnaround that quarterback Cam Ward showed enough flashes in his rookie year to create optimism for the offense's future. Mid-round picks like DK, Iomanner, and Helm look like hits. Head coach Robert Saleh should improve the defense, and seasoned play caller Brian Dable, like Table, should help Cam Ward. The offensive line, they didn't write that part.
Oh, okay.
The O-line is unspectacular but adequate, and Jeffrey Simmons was one of the best players in football last season. But under why it might take longer than hoped, he writes, GM Mike Borgonzi enters year 2 of a major rebuild, while the Titans need to spend at least modestly in free agency to fill out their roster. Borgonzi wants to build through the draft. That often results in a slow simmer. The lack of talent on defense is a problem. So how do the Titans ride that line with more cap space than anybody in the NFL this offseason of, yes, wanting to rebuild through the draft, but also supplementing in free agency in a way that doesn't push your chips in on free agency the way that we saw 2 years ago with Ran Carthon and the Sugar Rush offseason that led to 3-14?
So the word that he uses is, well, the phrase that he uses that you just read is slow simmer. Is she going to let this thing slow simmer?
Low and slow.
What are your favorite things to cook low and slow, Lucas?
Oh, bolognese. a good minimum 3 hours.
I was at Smoking Oaks yesterday. They had a pre-made bolognese that I really, really wanted. It looked very good.
But I do think you're pronouncing it incorrectly. It's bologna. Bologna.
You simmer bologna?
Have you not? You ever smoked a bologna, a big leg of it?
No.
I've fried bologna.
When's the last time you had a bologna sandwich? It actually sounds kind of good.
Last time I was at Robert's.
Wait.
Not Robert's house.
Robert's Western World.
We're definitely going to have those at the combine. I already put my grocery list together.
Oh, no.
Bologna and cheese, baby.
On the skillet, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to eat them raw.
No, you fry them. You gotta cut the little.
You know they feed you with this thing, right?
I'm well aware.
Okay.
I will also be feeding myself.
Yes.
Now, will the Titans be feeding themselves in the offseason? Will they have the strength to spend modestly? Modest is hottest.
Okay.
So what are they putting in the crock pot versus the microwave? That's what this offseason boils down to.
Well, is she going to allow Amy, who has cited the record every time she's fired somebody and was allegedly committed to the mantra of patience over panic last year? By the way, as we've stated, she made the right decision to not stick to the plan. She should have fired Brian Callahan. They got better after they fired Brian Callahan. The point remains, they went in with different intentions than they ended up, paying off 6 games in, right?
They went in with intentions to win, and that didn't happen. Like, every team goes into an era with intentions to win, and then...
Okay, but
yes.
You're disputing that the front office would have rather ridden it out than fire Brian Callahan and send everything up in the air 6 games in.
I don't know. I don't know what Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi would rather have happened in terms of
Amy made
the
a
timeline.
decision to fire him 6 games.
Yeah.
Okay? So
like you said, ultimately ended up being the better thing in what was a dreadful season.
It was absolutely the right decision. They got better after the fact. They didn't get much better, but they did get noticeably better. So what we don't have the answer to is she okay with the slow simmer type of situation that's being described here? Because I think everybody would acknowledge that that's the thing that makes the most sense here. You're putting the whole thing in a crock pot, right? You're going to let it go for a couple of hours. You're going to come back. It's going to fall off the bone, the entire thing. You want it nice and tender by the time you finally get ready to push for a postseason spot or, make the in the hunt graphic, the thing that we've talked about. Because right now the ingredients are Cam, okay, Jeff, okay, DK, Skoronsky.
Yeah.
Manor is not in there for me.
Well, there are some garlic cloves, some things that need a little more time, like J.C. Latham needs maybe not rosemary, but some things that need to cook. I kind of look at it a little differently, where free agency should be their microwave approach. You're heating up your frozen peas or your accoutrement that may be added to the crock pot at some point, but things that would help speed up the process of doing this. The draft, in my mind, is the crock pot. You're going to take guys with the promise of upside and their developmental runway that you would have them for a longer amount of time and give them the time to simmer. So what pieces should they be looking for and this is what we're going to get into more deeply at 12:20, but what are the things that they can microwave and what are the things that they can crock pot?
Based on what's available in free agency, I don't think that wide receiver would be your free agent approach. If the option is, we'll see what happens with Calvin Ridley. We don't have any kind of determination on whether they're going to keep him or release him for the opportunity to get some cap relief. They can get out from under the contract with a lesser dead cap hit this year. I don't necessarily think it makes sense to get rid of Calvin, especially for what's out there in free agency. Like if you're going to cut him, eat money, and then spend more for a middling player who's like, what are we talking about? Like Romeo Dobbs?
Right.
That kind of a tier, like how much is that player actually worth versus what you've got Calvin on contract for now?
Jawan Jennings, the frozen peas.
Jawan Jennings could be the frozen peas, but again, you're going to have to pay him similar to what you're paying Calvin Ridley.
Is Jawan going to make $24 million?
He's going to make over 20.
What do you think his market value is on Spot Track?
Probably 24 million.
Probably right. I'll say 22.5 because I feel like Spot Track tends to go low.
22.6.
22.6.
But that's the going rate for a wide receiver too. That's what they cost now. If you look at the Jalen Waddles of the world, like the guys like that, Nico Collins is a 1, but he's paid like a 2.
Somebody in the chat said trade Calvin for a 4th. You're not getting a 4th-round pick for Calvin Ridley. You drunk?
But on the question of will Amy Adams Strunk be willing to see out the slow simmer, I do think it's worth looking at the firings that she has made, right? And with Vrabel citing, not being good enough to win more than you lose overall. And obviously patience over panic was the mantra with Callahan, and he's fired 6 games in. But I think if you are seeing progress, it makes it a lot easier to sign up for the slow simmer, right? At the end of the Vrabel era, the Titans were going backwards. In the Callahan era, there was next to no progress. If anything, there felt like there was some regression in a lot of ways. If there is definitive progress week to week, month to month, then the slow simmer is a lot easier to bear, I would think, as an owner, when you can see the direction, even if it's not always going to be linear, that it's going. The end of the Vrabel era and the brief Callahan era, that wasn't a factor. There was no progress to point to and say, well, no, here are the reasons why we should stick to this and keep building off of this.
The only Devils, and I wouldn't make this argument because I did think that they were a worse football team through 6 games this year than they were even last year with Will Levis.
Yes.
The only devil's advocate argument that exists for that is 6 weeks for a rookie quarterback on a bad roster that's underperforming enough time to see any kind of meaningful progress.
Sure.
And I'm not going to be the one to make that argument because I said Callahan should have been fired before they came into this year. I thought that they should have fired Brian Callahan before they fired him, and I was in agreement with them firing Callahan when they did. So I'm not going to bang the table for that argument, but if you wanted to push back, you could say, well, I mean, how much better is Cam going to get in 6 weeks, really?
So we don't disagree with the premise of this article that the Titans belong in the middle of a rebuild category.
I think they're closer. I would put them, maybe a third into a rebuild. I don't know that I'd say they're halfway there.
Sure, but in principle, they're in the middle of a rebuild as opposed to
for sure.
the Raiders, who still don't have their rookie quarterback in place and their new coach is getting underway. Other categories here, I think this is interesting. Sneaky good trajectory. ESPN has Atlanta, New Orleans, and the New York Giants in the sneaky good trajectory column.
See, that's funny to me because I would not put the Saints in that position. Like, yes, okay, hypothetically you hit on your rookie quarterback, but you still have a ton of cap space issues to navigate. You still have an aging star roster.
They're
with
$26.5 million under.
Which to them is a great leap forward. They're used to being like 50, 60 million in the hole.
So ridiculous.
The cap space booming up. They're probably just like, oh, thank the Lord. Somebody's throwing a little dirt in this hole we can dig out of. But that's odd to me because when you look at the main pieces of their roster, a lot of them are either older, expiring contracts, or very new rookies. And there's no in between. So interested to see their rationale behind sneaky good trajectory. Maybe it's just that it's a bad division and they're able to take hold of that.
Here's what he writes. Quarterback Tyler Shuck showed promise as a starter, providing hope for the future. Wide receiver Chris Olave and left tackle Kelvin Banks are among the young pillars on offense. The defense overachieved, ranking in the top 10 in several defensive categories. Young players in the secondary are trending in the right direction, and look at that, the team's cap deficit isn't pushing $80 million in the red. Progress, why it might take longer than hoped, is also an added little blurb here that he does for every team. Saints roster has been among the league's oldest for years. It's time to get younger. That's a lengthy process, moving on from free agent vets such as Cam, Jordan, and Demario Davis seems timely, even though they have held up well. I wouldn't move on from either of those, honestly.
I mean, it's crazy they note that Demario Davis is the top free agent from them, and the former Vol corner, his name is escaping me.
Alontae Taylor.
Alontae Taylor is not mentioned. Cam Jordan is not mentioned.
Cam Jordan is mentioned.
Oh, but in their top free agent section,
okay.
it's they say Demario Davis and not the franchise cornerstone that Cam Jordan is.
Who's aged really well.
I mean, the dude gives you 10.5 sacks every single year with a middling pass rush since Trey Hendrickson left for greener pastures. Yeah. Like, he's been a uber consistent defensive player. But as they noted, a very aged roster that they're going to have to navigate. I wouldn't put them in that category, but, under Kellen Moore, maybe he's able to revive a lot of these pieces. I mean, remember last year we were making fun of these guys because they traded a fourth for Devon Vele, who didn't even get to see the field that much as a large slot, who they were like, oh, this is our Marcus Colston. We're so glad to add this guy. They're still making questionable moves, still trading draft picks for assets that they're not going to be able to realize for a number of years. That's just questionable to me.
And they also have the Giants being further along in this process than the Titans are, which I think is interesting. The Giants have 7 draft picks in this upcoming draft. Titans have 8. Titans have 77 million plus in cap space. Giants are just over 21. So everybody, and maybe it's just market size and there's more attention being paid, and you can argue whatever bias, but
I think there's a better base of talent in New York.
There absolutely is. The defensive front underperformed. That doesn't mean that there's nothing there, right?
Yeah.
That's in part why Shane Bowen got fired in the middle of the season last year.
Fowler calls it among the league's most talented.
They didn't play like it last year, but I get on paper why you could make the argument. Malik Neighbors, what he'll look like coming off the ACL. I'm not worried about Malik Neighbors. ACLs are routine. But it is worth wondering, okay, is it just going to be instantaneous? He got hurt pretty early. What was that, 4 games, 5 games?
It was pretty early.
Into the regular season. So I would agree that there is definitely more to work with in New York, but they don't have a ton of margin for error here. $21 million in cap is not a ton of maneuverability. And again, we'll see what happens. A lot of this will change once once teams start clearing cap from their rosters. I would imagine that the Giants will probably make some moves to maneuver out from under some of those contracts that haven't aged well.
But when we talk about, as we will at 12:20, the Titans' biggest needs, the conversation starts at edge and wide receiver 1, however you want to arrange those. The Giants, theoretically, have those two things. And there are some ifs involved, but if Malik Neighbors is healthy, he is a bona fide one. He is a star wide receiver, right? The talent is there defensively. So that, I think, puts you ahead, very much ahead of the curve in terms of a rebuild when you already have those two positions theoretically in place if you can keep them healthy.
People are asking in the F&M Bank chat, thought we had 90-something million cap. Somebody said, yeah, we have like closer to 100 million cap. Listen, these things fluctuate, okay? You're going to see a bunch of different numbers the whole offseason through. It's going to change, like I said, when teams clear cap. So there's projections. There are top 51 contracts. I know a lot of you are looking at like over the cap and spot track as far as this stuff goes. I wouldn't get – if you say between 70 and 85 million right now as an operating number, there's not a hard number that you have to look at right now. Don't get too caught up.
Well, and then, as you mentioned, they're going to have to tender certain free agents, exclusive rights. There has to be money for the draft class. You're picking 4. That's a higher price. So, I mean, there's a number of factors in place that's going to knock that number down considerably, but they still have a boatload of cap space.
They've got the most cap space either way. It's just, people have seen 100 in other places because Schefter got out there with propaganda and said, $100 million in cap space. And, in reality, it's not actually that.
Fowler has 2 more categories here, a few moves away and no need to panic. The no need to panic column has Baltimore, Detroit, and Kansas City. Few moves away include Cincinnati, Dallas, Indy, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay.
I disagree vehemently with Kansas City. No need to panic.
I think I would disagree more with Detroit, where they go from here as the coordinator, the OC after Ben Johnson, didn't take, fired. Dan Campbell took over play calling in the middle of last season. This feels like uncertain territory for the Detroit Lions, similar to what Dan Quinn is facing in Washington.
And they all have their questions, right? Like Baltimore, new head coach. How's that going to change the first-time play caller in Declan Doyle? But Kansas City has its question marks as well. Like, how does Patrick Mahomes recover? We talked about the quarterback list that was put out, and it was noted multiple times that he wants to be prepared for Week 1, but do they need a bridge to get them to wherever Mahomes is healthy enough to contribute at the level they're accustomed to? So, I mean, there are definitely questions within all those groups, but I do trust the guy in charge where it's Andy Reid in Kansas City. Definitely trust him. Dan Quinn, I feel like Dan Campbell held the brain drain pretty well, losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. I thought he navigated that pretty well. And with the Ravens, I trust Eric DeCosta to still be the light at the harbor, so to speak. So while they all do have questions, I think they were properly ranked in that no question or no need to worry.
Like, I get what you're saying, Buck. The Chiefs have certain concerns, but I have a really hard time associating the word panic with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo in that front office.
It just depends on, like, are they content to be competing or is the expectation, back in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes? Like, he's the one that I would believe if he said the window is my entire career. Joe Burrow's situation is far more tenuous, but if the standard is the Super Bowl, which in Kansas City, of course, it has been because they've won 3 while he's been there. I think there's reason to believe that it may not be as turnkey as that makes it seem. All right, so we are at T-Line where there are curling opportunities. Lucas, what is the special that T-Line has going for people who come out and participate today? Of course, all 3 of the remaining shows, us, Blaine, and Zach, 3HL after that, are going to be out here this afternoon. I know TN is doing something here. Is there anybody else from the station doing stuff?
No, it's us and WTN hanging out.
Okay.
The deal is a 30-minute curling session and an appetizer for only $25. That could be wings, that could be curling bites, that could be a bunch of different options. The food here is great. You can go to 1045thezone.com if you want to get that in advance. Also, you don't have to be a part of that deal to come hang out with us. You can just come, you can have lunch, you can curl, you can bowl, and have a good time. It's a huge open space. There's a nice patio with a fire going out front. This is a really cool spot where the holiday party was for the station on Friday, which I heard got rowdy.
It was exceptional. It was a great holiday party. But I wouldn't tell either one of you guys anything about it because neither one of you were there.
I have a good excuse.
Yeah,
Buck does not.
I didn't go.
Buck was at a Rascal Flatts concert.
I was visiting my mama.
615-737-1045. An Olympic update is next.
Oh, we are coming up on your lunch break, and if you're like me, it's the best part of the day. Your foot is tapping, you're looking at the clock, you're wondering what you're going to go get. Well, I have your answer. Any one of Hattie B's Middle Tennessee locations. We're out here in West Nashville. There's one right down the road on Charlotte Pike. Of course, Melrose, Midtown, Broadway, even at Nissan Stadium. Anytime you're there in the near future, B&A flying in and out of the airport, the factory at Franklin, which does breakfast on the weekends. I cannot think of a better brunch option when you've got a friend in town than to take them to some Hattie B's hot chicken. Try that hot chicken biscuit. Thank me later. You can also download the Hattie B's app. You get a free dessert simply by doing so in order for pickup or delivery. A family-run restaurant, the best hot chicken in the world. And the thing that I love about Hattie B's, among many things, is how they prioritize the sides, the collard greens, the pimento mac and cheese. They all feel scratch-made. They feel like they're made at home, and they should be your go-to for lunch today at Hattie B's.
Oh, yes, the music, the pomp, the circumstance, the ice, so nice. Today at T-Line for your Olympic Minute, we have Lucas Panzica.
Much more than a minute.
Much more than, maybe 5.
Maybe 5. That is the theme of my life. Maybe 5. Yesterday, local tie, as Nashville Predators goalie UC Saros had a rough day for the Finnish men's hockey team in his Olympic debut. 4-1 the loss to Slovakia in the preliminaries. Former Predator Eli Tolvanen scored the only Finland goal of the day, but it put Finland at the bottom of Group B. They will face Forsberg in Sweden tomorrow in what is a must-win game for Finland if they want to advance to the knockout rounds. Tough day for UC Saros. That contract that the Preds gave him has managed to look bad on the international stage as well. Earlier this morning, Roman Josi picked up an assist as Switzerland knocked off France 4-0 in the Group A opener in the preliminaries of men's hockey. Later today, the United States men's hockey team gets underway against Latvia in the preliminary rounds. 2:10 p.m. Central Time. Come hang out, watch the game at T-Line, where there are TVs everywhere showing the Winter Olympics. Earlier this morning, the United States fell in curling. Men's preliminary curling to Switzerland.
No!
Jesus Christ. 8-3.
No!
The Scandinavians have our number in curling. And the medal count currently is held by who as the leader?
Norway.
No, the host nation has taken over the medal count.
Oh, you love this, don't you?
The Italians.
Dadgummit.
The Italians have risen to the top of the table.
Whose side are you on?
The Italians.
Why does it say 7 for Norway?
That's gold medals. The Italians have 15 medals total. Norway has 14. The United States is third with 13. The gold medal count does have Norway at the top with 7, Italy with 6, the United States tied with Sweden and Switzerland with 4 apiece. So things are heating up at the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. Coming up today at 12:05, USA versus Sweden. More preliminary action in women's curling at 12:30. Chloe Kim, girlfriend of Myles Garrett, who is in attendance taking photos, supporting Chloe Kim. She is gunning for gold in the women's snowboard halfpipe final. That is coming up at 12:30 p.m. today. But the story of the Winter Olympics has been something that took place after the men's 20K biathlon.
Finally, we get to the actual story.
Yeah, this was 2 days ago. Many of you have already seen this, but Norwegian biathlete Sturla Holm Laigrid won bronze in the men's 20K biathlon, and he had an opportunity after his first career Olympic medal to speak to Norwegian television. We're not going to play the audio because it's entirely in Norwegian. That would have been very funny if we did.
He's crying, isn't he?
He is crying through it as he talks about this pinnacle moment of his career, and all he does is confess that he was unfaithful to his girlfriend of 6 months, that 3 months ago he cheated on her. He informed her of this about a week ago. She ended things, and then he went on to win bronze, and he was emotional in what was a shocking post-event interview on Norwegian television where he said, quote, "I had the gold medal in life, and I am sure there are many people who will see things differently, but I only have eyes for her. Sport has come second these last few days. Yes, I wish I could share this with her. I try to be a good role model, and I did something stupid. You have to admit when you do something you can't stand for and hurt someone you love so much." He begged for her back. He said that he hoped by committing social suicide she would consider taking him back, and this has made international headlines. And the ex-girlfriend, who asked to be remain anonymous, spoke out on this. And she said, quote, "I did not choose to be in this position, and it hurts to have to be in it. We have had contact, and he is aware of my opinions on this. I am grateful to my family and friends who have embraced me and supported me during this time, also to everyone who has thought of me and sympathized without knowing who I am." So, do we have a shred of sympathy?
Moron.
For this man.
A moron.
For Sturla Holm Laigrid, for thinking he could win back his girlfriend of 6 months by professing his love for her and admitting his mistake on Norwegian television after winning his first ever Olympic medal.
Not just on Norwegian television. A Norwegian television interview that then got international coverage.
Yes.
So it is one of the most tone-deaf, moronic moves you've ever seen a dude make. And there have been a lot of dumb dudes that have done a lot of dumb stuff involving relationships. But I swear to God, think about what he must have thought going into that. You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, was it
Boys, huddle up.
How planned was it?
I'm going to profess my love to her after I win my medal for the whole world to see. And then surely once she sees that I'm a champion, she'll understand.
Not a champion.
Well, yeah, that he
Third
medaled.
place.
That he medaled. That I'm.
Nah, we only date gold medalists around here.
Well,
see, if she would have gotten with whoever got gold.
it's funny you say that because
Oh,
who won
please.
gold?
Stop it.
Please.
Well, no,
Stop it.
not what you think I'm about to say is not what I'm about to say. But the gold medal winner from that event was his Norwegian teammate, Johan Olav.
Oh, she's been with Olaf the whole time.
It's time to trade up, honey.
Talk about revenge.
Guys, hey, everybody keep it down. My soaps are on.
Lagreed has since apologized for putting her in this position.
Moron.
Well, that's what overcame him was Lagreed.
He's
That was a force. No.
No, that was
You don't
excellent.
get it. No.
That was it. You're just mad you can't do things like that.
Well,
The
no,
quote
I'm
was,
quite okay not
the
being able
quote
to do
was,
that.
I am not quite myself today and I am not thinking clearly. My apologies go to Johan Olav, who deserved all the attention after the gold. It also goes to my ex-girlfriend, who involuntarily ended up in the media spotlight. I hope she is doing well, he said.
You remember that time that what's the NFL reporter that got on Twitter and started talking about how he lost his fiance because he had a porn addiction, and then the fiance responded on Twitter being like, "How self-involved are you to take this public? To how many tens
remember
of
this at
thousands
all.
of followers?
out
Who's
of
the
my
guy in
sphere of-
Denver? Albright."
That was him?
Yeah, Benjamin Albright did this whole thing about how, he lost the love of his life, and I don't have the exact details. It was like 3 different tweets. And like the self-involved nature of somebody taking that public in a situation where it should just be between you and the person. This is the most extreme version of that level of self-involvedness you've ever seen.
Woof.
Brutal.
Woof. Before we wrap up this Olympic update, looking forward to hitting the ice here at T-Line Nashville. Come curl with us today. We'll be out here broadcasting live all day until 6 p.m. I do want to give a shout-out to Carol, whose daughter Cynthia sent me a message yesterday and informed me that Carol is her 83-year-old mother who suffers from Alzheimer's but listens to the show daily and was rolling laughing at our Olympic update talking about the double luge and who would be on top between Buck and Robert. And she sent us some love and had some very nice things to say. So, Carol, we love you and wanted to give you a shout-out today in our next Winter Olympic update.
Appreciate it, Carol. And just for the clarification, I would be on bottom. Buck would 100% be saddled upon me.
The visual of that. I mean, if for no other purpose than my own well-being, because, I don't know, what do you weigh right now?
You never ask a lady that.
Yeah, come on.
What are you talking about?
It's a little
we be hitting it. You're hitting them corners a little too damn hard.
No, I don't like. You know what? We'll make this remote fun for me. Why don't we find a scale and we'll weigh you live? We'll do our own combine.
What is this?
We'll sit you. We'll do like a sorority hazing thing. We'll find a washing machine to put you on and see what shapes.
You
will
are
circle
going
the
to
parts.
end up being like that Scandinavian who lost the love of his life, and one day you're going to have to be like, Robert, baby, please come back. I was so wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. Oh, please come back.
You're just projecting things you want to happen in the future.
Larry says, let's go to break.
Kirby's spot on.
Larry is correct. We will go to break. The second hour live from T-Line is next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you because you've only got one life. It's too short for not nows, maybe laters, and tomorrows. If you're noticing issues with ED or performance, then your relationships, your confidence, and even your career may have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments are generic and some even unsafe. Guys, no more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice. Multiple urologists and providers focus solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatment. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
11:02, good morning. Broadcasting live from T-Line in West Nashville. I'm Lucas Panzica. Tennessee held off Mississippi State's comeback bid to win 73-64 Wednesday. Jacoby Gillespie led the way, 18 points as the Vols improved to 17-7, 7-4 in SEC play. They return home hosting LSU on Saturday night. On Wednesday, the list of 319 prospects invited to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis was revealed. 114 out of the SEC, 6 from Tennessee, 2 from Vanderbilt. The Vols invites are wide receiver Chris Brazzell, tight end Miles Kitselman, defensive lineman Bryson Easton, outside linebacker Joshua Josephs, and corners Jermod McCoy and Colton Hood. From Vanderbilt, quarterback Diego Pavia, and tight end Eli Stowers. The Winter Olympics continue in Milan Cortina. The United States tied with Norway for second in the total medal count, one behind host nation Italy. Team USA's men's hockey journey gets underway this afternoon against Latvia for a preliminary matchup with puck drop at 2:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour is underway. We're happy to have you. We are at T-Line today in West Nashville. If you want to stop by on your lunch hour, what time do they officially open? 11 o'clock, I would assume?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. So the station is going to be out here the rest of the afternoon. So if you can't make it in time to go curling with Robert and Lucas, is Blaine going to get out there? Do we know?
Oh, would love that. I would love that.
I would be curious to see if the Hitman would take his talents to the ice. I know Dawn and Brent and Slay have tried their hand at it before. Dawn Davenport is very competitive, and it was funny to watch Dawn. Not that she didn't figure it out, but it was funny to watch her get frustrated with her inability to execute it on the first time through with the, I guess, the knee placement if you are the one sliding the stone. I don't know if I'm using any kind of technical terminology whatsoever, but people, of course, know the stone that you slide and the brooms that you sweep in front of the stone to make sure that it can get to the intended target on the opposite end. We're going to call it a lane. I don't know if the lane is.
That's what they say.
Okay. At the end of the lane at this point in time, it was funny to watch the video that the radio station put out of Dawn battling through adversity to up her curling game. So I'm sure she will be ready to rock come 3 p.m. this afternoon.
You going to get out there?
No,
you've never been one to try new things.
I'm all set.
106 Duluth Avenue is where we are, so come hang out. And Buck will not be out there, so you do not have to worry about him bogging down your good time.
There you go. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. You are welcome to do so. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is where the F&M Bank chat exists if you would like to live stream the show and see where we're hanging out at T-Line today. How much have you paid attention to this Joey Porter Sr. Ben Roethlisberger story?
Yeah, it has picked up some steam. I saw it the other day when Joey Porter was. Is this on his podcast?
So he was making an appearance on Cam Hayward's podcast, and Diana was, ironically, our friend Diana Rossini.
Was right in the middle.
At The Athletic, was as a part of a Super Bowl Radio Row appearance. I guess Diana and Joey were on at the same time on the podcast. I'm sure they were talking about all the things that have gone down in Pittsburgh. And Joey is, of course, the former linebacker. His son is playing corner in Pittsburgh, and he is an assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point in time. So he goes on this podcast and says that quarterback Ben Roethlisberger wasn't a good teammate or a good person. Now, we can, there's been many reports about the person that Ben Roethlisberger was, certainly early on in his career with some deeply problematic behavior that went through litigation. But he also adds, Joey Porter Sr. did, that Roethlisberger and linebacker James Harrison. You don't see a lot of people publicly comfortable taking out James Harrison, one of the most intimidating human beings to ever take the football field, quote, broke the brotherhood by discussing team business and criticizing former coach Mike Tomlin on their own respective podcasts. I was unaware that James Harrison also had a podcast. I guess I should just assume that everybody has a podcast at this point in time.
Yeah, I remember. I think James Harrison's whole thing was that Mike Tomlin should not be a Hall of Famer.
That's crazy.
I think he went on this whole tangent about why his playoff record says he should not be. No, that's not what it was. It was that he does not have a coaching tree of note. He pointed to the postseason record.
That's probably true. And
the lack of a coaching tree as reasons why his former head coach should not be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at any point.
Well, I don't know that Mike Tomlin is definitively a Hall of Famer. I think he's certainly somebody who's had great success in the NFL. That's a conversation for another day.
Is it true that he has not had not one assistant become a head coach?
Who could you name?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it until you read that James Harrison quote, but
absolutely that's an insane
I really
statistic.
Can't think. I mean, especially given how many people just within proximity to Belichick the NFL was willing to hire.
Harrison speculated that Tomlin would steer away from bringing in top-notch coordinators to keep the focus on himself.
That's crazy. That is I mean, listen, they would know better than we would because they're inside that building on a regular basis.
But for any coach, if any coach is in one place for 2 decades, it means there is some semblance of consistent success, right? And any coach in that category, you don't even have to have a good coaching tree. Bill Belichick does not have a good coaching tree. His former assistants do not go on to be good head coaches. Didn't happen for McDaniels, didn't happen for Matt Patricia, didn't happen for Joe Judge.
The one that Belichick gets credit for most, ironically enough, did never coach under him.
Never coached under him.
Yeah.
So John Harbaugh has had multiple assistants go on to be. It is mind-boggling.
That is kind of crazy.
That there was not a single. I never really knew that until that was pointed out.
That's what I'm saying. I think that is worthy of some examination. I don't know whether what he's saying about Tomlin, not being willing to hire top coordinators is accurate, and because there could be some logic to the idea of, all right, am I just going to have this guy for a year and then lose him?
Yeah, but
I don't think that's a good or sound hiring process, but I mean, I guess there are probably people who that thought has crossed their mind before.
That's insane, but what do I care about how many of Mike Tomlin's assistants have been head coaches as it pertains to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a logical argument. Justin, who is helping us out today by producing the show back in the studio while we were out at T-Line, and Robert is probably, smoking 17 cigarettes with Kirby because I see neither of them. Let me hear from, I hope it's censored, Joey Porter Sr. on Cam Hayward's podcast during Super Bowl week.
He broke the brotherhood, then 7 definitely broke the brotherhood because,
that's the one I don't understand.
The 7 dude that we don't talk about.
I know.
is crazy. Like out of anybody should talk, he should never grab a microphone and really talk Steeler business. Yeah. Because if we talking Steeler business, his ass is foul of all foul. The shit that he's did is foul of all foul. He's not a good teammate. Won the Super Bowl with him, but the person, he's just not a good teammate. He knows that. Anybody in the Steeler building knows that. But we protected him because I've only won 1 Super Bowl, and that was my quarterback. So do I love my quarterback? Yeah, but is he a good person? No.
That's insane. Is he a good person? No. Zach Lyons has texted in and pointed out that Bruce Arians was an offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach and offensive coordinator for multiple years under Tomlin.
Well, and associate producer of the Buck Rising Show, Vincent Love, has tweeted me and said Arians and also Ken Wisenhunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they coached against each other in that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not totally factual that he hasn't had a single coach.
Yeah, I don't think we should be taking,
Yeah, Wisenhunt went from being the OC of the Steelers straight to head coach of the Cardinals.
How do you feel? I mean, this is an aside because we can talk about what Joey. Well, let's talk about what Joey Porter said there first, and then we can talk about the aside.
Wait, no, Wiz doesn't count. They did not overlap.
With Tomlin?
Yeah, no. Wiz's last year in Pittsburgh was 06. Tomlin took over 07.
Okay, all right. So just short, but I appreciate V-Love for
Todd Haley in there as well,
helping us connect the dots. Where was Haley a head coach?
You don't remember Haley as the head coach of the Chiefs?
Oh my God, that feels like so long ago. Anyway, so there have been some. We can talk about James Harrison.
But he was head coach of the Chiefs before he got fired from the Chiefs and then went to work for Tomlin. So, maybe that doesn't count either.
So we're all over the place. All right, very good. All right, so what Joey Porter is saying, he's a good player but not a good person. I feel like many people feel that way about Ben Roethlisberger.
Clearly.
Now, I didn't hear, I assume Ramon was asked about it or talked about it at some point this morning. I haven't texted him about anything regarding this. I'm sure he has thoughts, some that he can share publicly and some that he can't. But there have been more players like Mason Rudolph in Instagram comments on this post. They obviously clipped this for social media. Joey Porter talking about this, and it's made the rounds in a lot of different places. There are a lot of different Steelers players commenting on this and affirming what Joey Porter Sr. is saying, including Mason Rudolph, who was a backup to Roethlisberger for many years, Titans legend. I have never really enjoyed the Roethlisberger commentary, beyond his problems as a person. Again, early on in his career, that's well documented at this point in time. And listen, there's plenty of bad people that make good football players, right? They're not all saints in an NFL locker room, nor are they all, the worst people that you've ever met. There's a good mix. It's just like any workplace, any level of society. Like, it's a pretty healthy ecosystem of a variety of different people that you're trying to unite to accomplish a common goal when it comes to sports. You could say that of any business. But you don't ever, when's the last time you saw the Pittsburgh Steelers as an organization get this kind of messy? This feels very Cowboys-esque, what's happening with current and former Steelers right now. Rudolph's still there, right? He's under contract there.
Mason Rudolph commented, "Go off," at Joey Porter and had the little target, like bullseye emoji. That's crazy.
So, again, I would defer to Ramon Foster, who I'm sure has some thoughts on this, and I imagine that they talked about that this morning. Coming up next, we will play you a clip from or a portion of the episode of The Install that Greg Cosell and I did this morning, where we analyzed the Super Bowl at great length and talked about common themes that we learned from the 2025-2026 NFL season. So you'll hear a little bit from Greg coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We're hanging out at T-Line today. Taped an episode of The Install with Greg Cosell earlier this morning. And, of course, we broke down the Super Bowl. Got Greg's opinion on how Mike Macdonald dismantled that New England Patriots offense with relative ease. We also talked, I always like to ask Greg about larger themes from the season that we've just wrapped up on that he observes from his film study, from talking to coaches, from doing things like O-line masterminds and all the other football workshops that essentially Cosell participates in. So you'll hear that as well. It's the 5th season that Greg and I have done the podcast together, and as always, Greg's insights were welcome. This is the latest episode of The Install. Welcome into The Install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. 2025-2026 season officially in the books. Greg, you and I, we've done another football season together. Always appreciate your time on this. It was a lot of fun to talk about all the different things that we saw this year. A lot of conversation coming out of the Super Bowl because of the way that Seattle just flatly handled New England. From the defensive side and the offensive side, I thought that what Seattle was able to do, while it took them a little while to break through with Sam Darnold, Kenneth Walker is just such a consistent and fun player and did the necessary things to put them in position to succeed.
Yeah, it's funny. I was obviously in the stadium watching the game. I was pretty high up, so I ended up watching most of it on the big screen. But then when I came back and watched the tape, but the one thing I noticed immediately being in the stadium and was the pressure by Mike Macdonald early in the game, because obviously I watched Seattle every snap all season long. They were one of the lowest percentage blitz defenses in the league, Buck. So, I think they were 27th out of 32 teams when it came to blitz percentage. So they were not a team that, one of those crazy blitz teams. And yet they came out in the Super Bowl and Mike Macdonald decided that, early on, I'm going to bring pressure. And to me, that was a very defining feature of the game and sort of set the tempo for the game. On the first 2 possessions, he came with really well-schemed pressures. Both involved Witherspoon, that both involved Emenwari as well. And by the way, Emenwari, even though Seattle was not a high percentage blitz defense, Emenwari through the regular season, Buck, did have the most pressures of any defensive back in the league. So the fact that Emenwari was part of it should not have been a surprise, and I'm sure it wasn't to New England. But what they did exceptionally well, and this is what you try to do when you create pressure so people understand, is you line up a certain way with your front because you know how the offense has to pass protect against how you line up. And then once you understand that, you can create a pressure concept where they can't pick someone up based on how you know that they're protecting. So that happened on there was a 3rd and 9 on the first possession. That was the one where Witherspoon got in clean and forced May out of the pocket, and he had the throwaway. And then the sack on the second possession, which I believe was on 3rd and 15, if memory serves me correctly, that was another really super well-designed scheme where they did not have a blocker for Witherspoon. And, it's funny, I happened to see my good friend Ron Jaworski at a high school basketball game Tuesday night because his grandson played for the local team, and that's where my daughters went. So I go to the high school games when I can. And, he said, we were talking, and he said, that's on the quarterback. The quarterback has to be able to understand who can't be picked up. And, May, this is no knock on Drake May. This happened so fast, but, he's still only a second-year guy. And, you get into a big game like that and everything starts to happen really fast. So I thought that set the tempo because after that, they really didn't pressure a ton. May ended up with 53 dropbacks just because of the nature of the game. I mean, in the fourth quarter, I think he just dropped back on every snap. So that really increased the number. But they only ended up with 5+ rushes out of 53 dropbacks, but it seemed like all 8 of them came in the first 5 minutes of the game, But that really set the tone for the game, I thought.
Yeah, Witherspoon talked about, how they were able to identify what New England was going to be, how New England was going to be operating based on the pass protection sets, based on the
Yeah.
protection sets, which, is not an uncommon thing to hear Mike Vrabel talk about it after the fact. He kind of explained, the situation for the unwashed masses like me who are trying to understand a little bit more about how this stuff goes down. So to your point about the young quarterback, inexperience showed. They also had some drops in the situation. The Seattle defensive backs just smothered those New England
Yes.
wide receivers, Greg. It did not feel like a fair fight necessarily, even though this was the final game in the Super Bowl for both teams. The other part of this is the dialogue around the Patriots offensive line and specifically Will Campbell. And I wonder what you made of the discourse that's being had, because it seems like a lot of offensive linemen out there on social media have come back and kind of tried to correct the way that people are thinking about these things, understanding that he did not play his best football, and it sounds like he was battling through injury too. I wonder
Yeah.
what you saw from the way
Well,
that Josh McDaniels approached it versus him just getting beat on a technical standpoint.
eh, look, I'm certainly not an offensive line guru. I mean, I can tell you what I saw on tape, and I can also tell you conversations I've had with offensive line coaches. I mean, I remember specifically when I was down in Tennessee and got a chance at lunch to I asked Bill Callahan, who's one of the most respected ever. I said, "What's your view of arm length?" And he said, "Where arm length really comes into play is in sort of secondary reactions. In other words, if you sort of are starting to get beat, then arm length becomes a factor." Um, but to me, again, just watching Campbell play over the course of the last 4 or 5 weeks since he came back from the injury, where he clearly struggled. Now, obviously, he was playing against really good pass rushers, but hey, it's the NFL. You want to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to play against really good pass rushers. I thought that the bigger issue was not necessarily his arm length per se, but I thought it was his strike timing and his late hands. I thought he was very late with his hands. And he's a vertical setter. So what that means is he gives ground. In other words, he's not aggressive. He doesn't shorten and minimize the space between himself and the rusher. He increases the space. So what you get is you get the pass rusher being able to develop speed and velocity. So now, if you're going to let the pass rusher do that, you can't let him get inside of you because he's just going to push you back. And so you have to be strong with your hands. You have to strike, not just reach, strike. And I thought he was late with his hands. His strike timing was off, and therefore the rushers got inside of him and pushed him back. And I thought that happened throughout the playoffs, not just in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, that was something that you and I have talked about. I'm sure you've brought it up in other appearances that you've done. Just kind of, and again, to your point, they're playing really high level defenses throughout the course of the playoffs to reach the
Sure.
Super Bowl. Obviously, a rookie left tackle fighting through injury, and not to make excuses, but it was just kind of the nature of the situation for New England. To flip that to Seattle on offense and the Patriots on defense, I thought New England's defense did a hell of a job trying to keep them in that game. Christian Gonzalez, I mean, Greg, just from just what can you say about the way that he has come along as a player? And I thought he had one of his best performances of the season in the biggest game of the year.
Well, it's funny. I went back when I got back to the office on Tuesday morning and looked at my evaluation of him coming out. I believe it was the 2023 draft, if memory serves me correctly. Um, and I said that I thought he could have easily been a top 10 pick based on my evaluation of him coming out, and I think he's played to that in the league. But I thought New England, on the other hand, they were super aggressive. They rushed five or more on 23 of Darnold's 40 dropbacks, so they were very, very aggressive, and I thought it caused some problems just in that the pass game really couldn't develop a defined rhythm. I thought Darnold, given the way the game was playing out, played it really well. I heard a phrase, I think it was Matt Hasselbeck. So I want to give credit where credit is due because I didn't come up with it. But we all talk about the term game manager, which in the minds of most people is a negative phrase. I think it was Matt Hasselbeck who said, no, 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 the better term is game commander, and which has a more positive intonation. And I think that's the way Darnold played this game. There was a lot of pressure on him. He didn't force throws. he missed a few that if he had made, this game would have been a bigger blowout. He missed a few, but he also took checkdowns and didn't force balls. He played the game the way that game demanded to be played, Buck. And that's, to me, that's quality quarterback. And just because he didn't throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns doesn't mean he didn't have a good game. Yeah, and I was actually surprised when all was said and done. Actually, when I got back to my hotel and I just looked at all the stats on my iPad and saw that he threw 40 balls, and I was surprised. Or he had 40 dropbacks. I guess he was 19 for 38, and I was kind of surprised by that given the nature of the game. But he just played it the right way. He didn't force things. He just I've heard Tom Brady talk about that a lot when he does games. You got to play each game as a separate game. It's not about accumulating stats. It's about playing the game and winning the game.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's the way that he played in the NFC Championship game where he did a lot of the heavy lifting in that situation versus going to the Super Bowl and allowing, leaning on the running game and taking what opportunities were there to be had and allowing the defense to give him additional opportunities to try and pick away at that thing, right? It's not, to your point, it's not the same thing every week.
No. And, I was surprised to a certain extent that the Patriots defense gave up the edge as often as they did in the run game, but they don't have big bodies on the edge. That's the thing. I mean, they have Landry, they have Chason. Those are not like the old Bill Belichick, big bodied, defensive end types, but I was still surprised that they gave up the edge. And I thought he ran as well as I've seen him. There was a calculated patience to the way in which he ran. And when you run with that kind of calculated patience, Buck, what you do is you manipulate second level defenders because they don't know they're reacting to you. They're reacting to your path. And he did such a good job. The other term that's often used is he pressed the hole, but he pressed it with patience. So he would go start downhill, and then you'd see Spillane, maybe jump one way because he thought he was going that way. And then, Walker would cut the other way, and then Spillane would be out of position. He did such a good job. When I took my notes, that's the term I use, calculated patience. And I thought he just ran exceptionally well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Greg, as we put a bow on our 5th season together doing the podcast, I always like to ask you about themes or maybe larger takeaways that you had.
I put up with you for 5 years,
brother. I don't know how. I mean, they must be paying you pretty well to be able to put up with this nonsense for this long of a time. You've got the patience of a saint, and we appreciate you for it. But as far as the larger takeaways from this season, Greg, where you're studying the schematics, the tactics that these coaches apply, I wonder if you had any larger theme takeaways that you thought about after the fact.
A couple. I mean, I'll get more as I sort of, now I'm jumping into college tape, obviously, but I think about all this stuff as I watch, I think you saw a lot more multiple tight end personnel packages on offense. And I'm curious to see how that impacts the draft, because there's always players at every position, but it'll be interesting to see how that impacts how people draft, because there were a lot more what we call 12 personnel, meaning 1 back and 2 tight ends, even more 13 personnel. Look what the Rams did and the success they had with 1 back and 3 tight ends. So you saw more of that. You clearly saw more 2 high safety structures on the back end, which led me to believe, and it was no coincidence, that in the championship game with the 4 teams, and then obviously in the Super Bowl, that defensive tackles, I'm really curious to see the value that's now being placed on defensive tackles as we go forward, if that will continue in the draft. Because if you're going to play with a 2 high safety structure, even though, safeties can play downhill and fill in the run game, they're not technically playing a true gap. They're not in the box to start. So now your defensive tackles become so important in the run game. And, look what we had in the championship games. The Rams have obviously a great duo. Who's the other team that lost in the championship game on the AFC side? Denver. I mean, they, and then look at the Super Bowl with the defensive tackles with, even though New England lost, they have Barmore, they have Williams, they have Durden, they have Tonga. They had a rotation. Look at Seattle, Murphy, Williams, Jaron Reed, even Riley Mills got in and made some plays, the rookie from Notre Dame. So I'm just wondering if that's as we go forward, even in this draft, and I haven't done my work yet on D tackle, so I don't know if it's a great D tackle draft, but I'm curious to see if teams think more along those lines, that D tackles become more important now in how you build a defense, because if you're going to play more of a two high safety structure, then your D tackles become really important players.
Man, I can't wait to get into the draft with you, buddy. It's going to be a fascinating draft season. We do a lot of draft coverage around here in Tennessee anymore, just because of the nature of the football.
Yeah. I'm sure they'd like to do a little less draft coverage, but hey, this is where we are.
That's, you know what, we're going to gut it through it with you every week, no matter what, and that's why we appreciate Greg and all the great legwork that he does. Again, Greg, thank you so much for another fun season. It's not like we're going anywhere. We're going to keep going
we'll be
through.
Back.
The NFL doesn't stop, so why would we?
Yeah, well, we talk next week, and then you and I will be at the combine, and we'll talk there. So and I'm really looking forward. I mean, look, we say this every year, unfortunately, for Titans fans, that the draft is a big deal. But of course, I'm really looking forward to another year with the install after the draft, the week after, which should be awesome.
We've got a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun doing the first couple, and I think this is going to be. I always think this next one's going to be our best one yet, but I'm biased.
So do I. It's going to be phenomenal. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will talk to you next Thursday. Thank you as always.
All right. Thanks, Buck. Appreciate it.
So that is this morning's episode of The Install with Greg Cosell of NFL Film. Some really interesting stuff there about the way that Mike Macdonald and that Seahawks defense were able to pick apart the Patriots, and just the inexperience of Drake May and a couple of young pieces on that offensive line being amplified by a team that took the 2 weeks to prepare and change their tendencies, turned it into a pressure defense after not really having to do that all year long.
I wonder what would have been the hypothetical if we could handpick of the AFC teams that made the playoffs, the hypothetical best Super Bowl matchup.
Jacksonville.
You think Jacksonville?
I think Jacksonville was
Jacksonville
the best
over Buffalo?
I think Jacksonville was the best team in the AFC at the end. I know that Buffalo beat them, but it's not like Trevor Lawrence didn't have a meltdown.
Jacksonville beat Buffalo. Or no, Buffalo beat Jacksonville. That's right. They lost to the Broncos.
Yeah,
what am I saying?
They went to Jacksonville and beat the Jaguars. The Jags were the best team in the AFC at the end of the year. They went to Denver and won.
Yeah, towards the end of the year. Either Jacksonville or Buffalo, I think, would have given us a better game than what the Patriots did.
Any veteran quarterback would have given us a better game than the Patriots did, right? Like even Bo Nix would have seen more and had more ability to adapt. He also has a better offensive line in Denver.
But even that play style, that New England kind of operates under, they were just smothered. Like any veteran quarterback maybe could have done more than Drake May did, but would have had the same problems that Drake May faced with Will Campbell just getting dragged across the field.
Yeah.
All day long. So
what do you make of the dialogue around Will Campbell? We never got to that yesterday. A lot of former and current offensive linemen got on social media like, no, and Greg addressed it, right? It's not about the arm length, really. It's about that he's late with his hands. It's kind of like the Dillard thing, that he lets guys get into his chest, and so maybe you arm length has its place in the conversation, but the conversation about Will Campbell specifically and why he got dusted in the Super Bowl has nothing to do with the baby T-Rex arms.
It is pretty funny that, Will Campbell, top 5 pick, great start to the season before the injuries start to creep in. Remember J.C. Latham hit a significant rookie wall his rookie year.
Yeah, he's talking about it.
Like, Will Campbell played significantly more games than Latham did as a rookie.
Better.
So it's pretty funny that Campbell, who played very well for the first half of the year, started to experience some injuries, was a starter on a team that went to the Super Bowl and then had a bad performance in the Super Bowl, and but it's because of the arm length. Okay, but what about all the good tape that he put on? I think it did get a little ridiculously overblown that suddenly he's a bad player and he should never play left tackle again. Like, calm down. The dude had injury after injury. He's playing, how many games did he play? 21 for the first time. I don't know how many, can't remember how many he missed exactly. But the most games he's ever played in a season in his career, playing through injury against that defense. Yeah, I think people have taken the Will Campbell discourse just a little bit too far.
615-737-1045. You're going to talk to some curlers?
I think we're going to learn a little bit about some curling coming up next.
I am going to let Bert and Lucas receive an education from some professionals in the art of curling. We'll do that coming up next.
Welcome back to the show, broadcasting live from T-Line, Nashville, where in about an hour, Robert and I are going to hit the ice. We're going to make our maiden voyage on a curling lane to celebrate the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. We are about to be joined by a duo of curling aficionados, of professionals that are way ahead of where we were at their age. Looking forward to catching up with the two Woodies that are about to step in here and chat with us. Before we talk to them, Robert, what do you think, as we're about to get a bit of an education on this, but curling as a sport, what do you predict they will tell us when we ask them the muscle group that is most important to curling?
Probably the one that's most prominent in my body, which would be my core. I mean, I'm widely renowned for my abdominal strength and the shape of my abdominal. So I think that, and hoping that they end up telling us that. But I've watched some newbies over here curl. We are going to fail. And we are going to fail hard.
Why?
But they have excellent teachers who are scraping, because it's about precision. You know, some of it you're like, oh, I'm just shoving a stone down here, but it's not all about strength. It's not all about that, and that's what I'm interested in learning from the two Woodies.
Why do you think we're going to fail? Justin says it's about balance. Why do you think we're going to fail before we get on the Woodies here to tell us why we're going to fail?
Because I think our athleticism does not translate to something like this. We're going to get them scheduled in here now, and I need you to get to the bottom of this because I'm noticeably nervous about this.
Let's figure this out. So we've got two young men joining us here that have been traveling the country to talk about the Rock League, as it's the first professional curling league in world history and in the United States. It's something that you can be a part of, and we are joined now. Guys, if you could, go ahead and introduce yourselves out here at T-Line.
Hey, I'm Carter Hellman. And this is my twin brother, Tucker.
Hey, I'm Tucker.
And we are part of the Rock League. We're doing watch parties across America, and we're at the T-Line right now. We're doing a 8-club watch party trip across America, and we're visiting watch parties, trying to show the energy of them, and we're doing giveaways at every single one where you can win merch and tickets to the launch of the Rock League.
So you're doing watch parties for the Winter Olympics, and you've made it here to Nashville. Can you tell us a little bit about Rock League, first of all? What excites you about it and how people can get involved?
Well, it's the first professional league in curling, so I feel like, that's pretty exciting. That's never happened before. So, and we're just trying to show kind of the excitement of curling too. So that's kind of what Rock League's about.
And we're trying to make it more fun for everybody, and we're trying to spread awareness to the Rock League here at these watch parties. And I think it'll be great it's something new in curling, never seen before, and with the stuff that we're doing at Rock League at the launch, we've never seen before. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be very fun. So
you guys are 14 years old, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
So it's technically both their birthdays then, right? Aren't you guys twins?
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday to both of you.
Thank you. How did you guys initially get involved in curling? How did you develop this passion for curling, so much so to the point where you're literally traveling the country to promote the Rock League?
Oh boy, that's a long story. So basically, in 2018, John Schuster, he and his team, he won the gold medal against Nicholas Sedin, and we were sitting on the couch, and we were flipping through channels, and I was like, hey, I want to try that. So 4 years later, because of COVID, so we couldn't curl for a while. So 4 years later, we tried to learn to curl, or we did in 2018, and we tried another one in 2022 or 2021, I think, and then we never stopped. And so Willie Mays, he was our next door neighbor, and he lived right down the street for us. We were a huge baseball family. My grandpa collected 2,300 signed baseballs, and so we're a huge baseball family. So my dad wasn't that happy about me joining curling, but we just never stopped. We just had a passion for the sport, and we never stopped. And,
Amazing. The Hellman brothers are with us here to promote the Rock League, which is taking over in the United States. curling that people can get involved in. Where are you guys from originally?
California.
California? Okay. Yeah. So a couple of guys from California that are spreading the word about curling in the U.S. and here in Nashville.
All right, look, because when we watch it on TV, it's like, oh, yeah, that's easy. I could do that. And we had a work function here where I learned, yeah, it's not that easy. I can't do that. So as someone of my body type, and you guys see I'm perfectly perpendicular. I'm pretty straight, pretty jacked up looking dude.
Oh, yeah.
What advice would you give for me and Lucas? We're going to attempt to do doubles later today after the show. What advice would you give to us? I'm not going to do the shove off because I didn't watch it and I know I'm going to fall on my face. I'm going to be a sweeper. I think we're going to make him do the core work. So what advice do you have for us in starting our curling journeys, and how do we get to be better than you guys?
Oh boy, well, well, first off, I think you're doing doubles, right? Everybody has to throw a stone, but if you don't want to...
hold on. He's going to be our all-time thrower.
Oh, okay, you're going to be, okay.
A cheater, basically.
This is news to me.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. It's actually harder than people think, like you said. Like, everybody sees it on TV, it's like, oh, that's easy, but like once you actually try it, it's like, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, you need a lot of balance, first of all, right? You need to be flexible, too. I mean, sweeping, you just have to, it's a lot harder than people think. Like, when I teach learner curls, they're usually, the broom's way out in front of them, and it's like they're scared of the broom. You have to really lean on it, put all your body weight, and
like, I know Tucker said, like, it is harder than you think, but like, the good thing about curling, like, unlike any other sport, is that anybody can curl. Like, it's accessible to like all body types, all shapes and sizes.
So even the fats like me can do this.
Yeah. Even the ones with a little bit of curvature.
Right. Yeah.
So you guys being from California, had you been involved in any winter sports prior to taking an interest in curling?
We have not. We've actually done 6 sports before curling. We've done baseball, as like I said before. We're a huge baseball family. We've done tennis, golf, soccer, and swimming. We haven't done any other Winter Olympic sports besides curling.
What part of the body, after a full day of curling, is the most sore after the fact?
Oh, I mean, there's like a ton of different slides. Tucker's all the way up on his toe, so I don't know.
That's my knee.
Your knee? Okay. For me, probably my shoulders, because like I sweep on the front end, so I'm sweeping Tucker's rocks, so it's probably my shoulders. But Tucker's lazy; he just sits in the house all day. He's like, "Oh, do this, oh, do that." Whatever,
what's he gonna throw you under the bus like that
for? Yeah, go here. It's like,
hey, you know what? I can't argue with that. That's kind of true.
Have you guys ever gotten to, like, I mean, obviously being twins, you guys probably either butt heads or get along great. Like, What about curling do you guys argue the most about? Like, are you like, dadgummit, dude, you could have swept a little better for me there, or give me a better toss?
Oh, well, I think we're probably like better communicators on the ice than off the ice. We're probably more teammates than brothers. I feel like we treat each other better, but I feel like we could be more harsh on each other, because like if I'm talking to my other teammate, we're not related at all. Like, I feel like I'm less harsh on him than Tucker, because Tucker and I have known each other for a while, and I'm not like scared or like to say anything bad for him. I don't sugarcoat anything for Tucker. I just we're give it to him straight,
But I mean, if Carter, like, I know Carter can sweep harder than that. I'm like, come on, dude, like,
give me a good sweep.
I know, put more effort into it. Like,
can you give us the breakdown then on the United States performance so far in the Winter Olympics? I know mixed doubles ended up in silver earlier this week, but what were the expectations going in, and what is your analysis of what we've seen so far from Team USA?
Well, like I've said, that in 2018 the U.S. won gold, John Schuster, and then in 2022 they went to semis. So I think they've been doing pretty good for the last few Olympics. And then this year we saw Corey and Corey, they got silver. So I think they've done pretty well. We've seen like Team Casper beat Team Schuster in the trials, so they're at the Olympics right now representing Team USA as a new team. But they have done really well this season, as we've seen in the slams. They've been doing really well. And I think we're going to see a good performance out of them today, because we saw Corey and Corey, they got silver. They were doing really well. They were on a great run. And I think we're going to see the same thing with Danny Casper.
Most electric curling watch party that you guys have experienced so far. What town has gotten the most into it in this journey you guys are on?
We visited 3 clubs so far. We visited Portage, Duluth, and Ardsley. They were all great crowds, but I think I mean, Duluth for the Corey and Corey, they were ecstatic. There was a ton of people there because that's Corey and Corey's home club, the Duluth Curling Club. And there were a lot of people. They were all cheering. They were all really ecstatic. There was, like, people, like, jumping up and, like, putting their signs like that. And, like, it was I think either Duluth or Ardsley, because Ardsley is the home club of Danny Casper, who's the skip of Team USA right now. So probably Duluth. Yeah, Tucker?
Yeah.
All right, Carter and Tucker, the Hellmans are here, 14 years old. Robert, what were you doing at 14 years old?
Sure, I don't even know if I should tell you guys about that. Probably going out in the woods and finding some animal to skin. Like, y'all are doing a much safer activity than what I was doing at 14.
No, you guys are crushing it. It's so cool to latch onto something, to find a passion for something, and then to go coast to coast talking about it and spreading the word about it and trying to seize this moment as everybody is around TVs and clubs and in bars and at home watching curling, which isn't something that's usually happening. Right. I can respect that. I think that's really cool what you guys are doing. One more time, if y'all could tell us about the Rock League and how folks can get involved.
I mean, you can just, like, go to the Instagram, follow them, and you can actually, if you're in town, you can go to the T-Line and you can actually win some merch by saying, oh, we're at this watch party, and you can win an entry. So
so we're doing giveaways, so you can enter those. You can, like, learn more about it. There's the rockchannel.com where they stream all the Slam games. There's you can visit the Grand Slam website or get the app, learn more about it, and just spread. You can come down to the T-Line or any watch parties because we're doing 8 different clubs. We're going to all these watch parties. You can stop by because we'd love to see you. We're doing interviews to spread awareness. We're doing quizzes where we can earn, like, prizes and stuff like that.
And you guys have a YouTube as well, right?
We do, yeah. We have a YouTube channel where we post. Recently, or we used to post, like, interviews with different curlers about, like, how their advice for younger new curlers is called Curling Chronicles Paying It Forward. But right now we're doing watch parties and we're a part of the Rock Channel right now, so we're doing watch parties across America. So just stop by anyone and enter the giveaways and see if you can win either a ticket to the launch of the Rock League in April or some merch.
I love it. I love it. Carter and Tucker, appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
We're going to be out here at T-Line broadcasting live all day, so come check out your curling skills. Watch some curling as the Winter Olympics are on. Come hang out with us, with these guys. We'll be out here all day on Duluth Avenue. I'm sure no coincidence there, out here in West Nashville. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right. Will Derek Carr be a New York Jet? Let's talk about it coming up next. 12:03, good afternoon. Broadcasting live from T-Line in West Nashville. I'm Lucas Panzica. Tennessee held off Mississippi State's comeback bid, winning 73-64 on Wednesday. Jacoby Gillespie with 18 points. The Vols moved to 17-7, 7-4 in SEC play. They return home to host LSU on Saturday night. On Wednesday, the list of 319 prospects invited to the NFL Scouting Combine was revealed. 114 out of the SEC, 6 from Tennessee. They are Chris Brazzell, Miles Kitselman, Bryson Eason, Joshua Josephs, Jermod McCoy, and Colton Hood. 2 from Vanderbilt, and quarterback Diego Pavia and tight end Eli Stowers. Team USA men's hockey begins its Winter Olympic journey in Milan Cortina this afternoon, coming up with puck drop at 2:10 against Latvia for preliminary round action. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour here at T-Line. We're happy to have you. Sounds like Lucas and Robert got a bit of a curling education while I was out. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate at any point. The F&M Bank chat also open for business. Here in about 15 minutes from now, we will conclude our 3-day efforts to prioritize the Titans roster needs. Remember, it's not a draft-specific conversation. It's not a free agency-specific conversation. It is a personnel acquisition season discussion, which I think has been pretty good. Robert stole the idea from a Ravens podcast, yes?
No, it was all my idea.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Stole the idea from a Ravens podcast that he was listening to, and so, of course, we then imported it and used it for our purposes. So what was the who were you talking to?
I was talking to Carter and Tucker Hellman, 2 14-year-old twin brothers that fell in love with curling in California and now find themselves traveling the country promoting the Rock League, which is the world's first professional curling league.
Excellent.
They've been at watch parties for the Winter Olympics all over the country. They're in Nashville now. They're hanging out at T-Line all day, and they're going to show Robert and I a little something.
So for people who want to see that, if maybe they can't make it out to T-Line today, I'm sure that will be put out there on social media channels after the fact. What was the biggest takeaway that the two of you had from your curling interview? Did you get a technique, some technique tips here so that you don't embarrass yourself? I'm worried that you're going to, tear something or turn something.
Oh, yeah.
Famously, you do not fare well in athletic ventures.
Well, E-League champion, so maybe a shred of respect in your voice would be nice. But they said that balance is the name of the game, which does not bode well for me.
No.
Well, not for him, but I have it in spades, so I would assume that I would be okay.
I can't imagine. Well, maybe you.
You've never seen me going down the slopes on a snowboard, dude. I'm just like really hanging in there.
Surely it's not a snowboard.
Dude.
What do you think? What do you think? I'm taking a sled?
No, I think you're on a tube.
No,
I think you're in one of those inflatable tubes.
That would be a risk to public safety. Tubes don't have brakes. You can fall and stop a snowboard, but if you'd like to stop a tube, you better just roll off.
I had a little skiing excursion in Michigan.
Oh, fine him. I'm sorry, Lucas. That sounded so pretentious.
Well, hang on.
I had a little skiing excursion.
In Michigan.
Oh, wait. I didn't get fined? I thought you were talking to me. I was like, what'd I do? I looked at my phone.
A year ago, because I was visiting Megan and a couple of her friends from residency had a spot in Michigan, like a little mountain that's like a mini ski spot. And we went up there, and they were out of skis when I got up there. And so I got a snowboard. And I had never been on a snowboard. And it was about an hour and a half of CTE for the rest of my life. Like the amount of times I smashed my head on that hardly packed snow. I worry I'm not going to know my grandkids' names because of that one day that we had.
You got to tuck your chin. You got to. Do you ride goofy or do you ride regular?
Goofy is right foot first.
Goofy is
like right foot in like.
I believe so.
Forward.
Yes. So like if your dominant foot would be back. Like
no. So I rode regular.
Okay. I ride goofy. Cheyenne rides goofy.
I couldn't stay up for more than 5 seconds.
It is tough, but as soon as you learn like your squat balance of where you need to be at, then the issue is steering or getting into position. position to do something. Luckily, we don't have to worry about a board on our feet. Here they have slip covers for your shoes.
Yes.
So you get out there on the ice. We're watching a number of people do it right now, and boy, am I intimidated. Because all of these people are very young.
They look like they know what they're doing.
And spry, and they...
The sweeping looks fun.
That's what I'm saying. I can sweep.
I feel like
sweep.
it would be harder for me to keep my balance, like shuffling to the side while I sweep.
Well, and see, that's something that the Twins noted to us is a lot of people act like they're scared of the brooms. And it's like you really need to put your body weight.
You're right on top of that thing.
Lean on it.
Because you're trying to make a slicker path for it to follow.
It's all about the torque.
So if you need weight, oh, buddy, have I got some news for you.
Don't break a broom.
You're
okay?
good. No, I think it's like a pole vault. They're all weight tested for different sizes, which if we were pole vaulting.
Oh, God, I want you to snap one of these so badly.
If you think that I would even get off the ground with a pole, you would be.
I am going to slide one of the wonderful people, one of the employees here at T-Line, $50 to maybe fiddle with your broom a little bit so that you're given a defective broom that may or may not snap during the act of sweeping.
I think you'd be more likely to see me at Hustler than to be here with a broken pole.
615-737-1045. Interesting enough. You've always been a snowboarder, you and Cheyenne?
Cheyenne has always been. I have not been. I'm a water dude, like waterboarding or
Well, I just mean in terms of because it's and I've never tried to snowboard. I ski, and it's my understanding that if you grow up skiing or you grow up snowboarding, it is infinitely harder to learn
the opposite,
the other one,
right?
Based on what you know your tendencies to be as a skier or a snowboarder,
right? You're trying to pizza and all that stuff when you're skiing to slow down and snowboarding. You really can't move it's not moving your feet so much as it is moving your center of gravity to your heels or your toes.
I just hate most winter sports because I'm so bad at it.
Well, I think you hate it because you don't like the cold.
And I hate being cold. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
but you're not cold. You're
there.
sweating.
Yeah, but I also hate that. I hate skiing because, A, I'm terrible at it, and B, you are outside in the cold, but you're also bundled up. So you're cold, but you're also hot and sweaty at the same time, and the snow is like getting inside your glove and like making your wrists cold.
Well, no, it just sounds like you're not properly equipped.
Of course I'm not properly equipped. I go skiing maybe once every 3 years.
I love skiing. Skiing's a great time. Right, once every 3 years is not a finable offense. I mean, if I really wanted to get fined, I'd say the first time I went skiing was in the Swiss Alps, but, we can have that conversation.
That was my favorite Christmas present when we got to go to the Swiss Alps.
I got a Game Boy. I got a Game Boy Color.
And a Saint Bernard
Pokemon Yellow.
A Saint Bernard with a little barrel under his neck brought me a nice little whiskey sour to revive me.
It's beautiful. I still have the picture of the little Swiss Alp cabin that we were staying. You can see the Italian Alps. You'd love it.
It's adorable that he thinks he's the only one here that's been skiing in the Alps.
Everybody getting fined.
You can see the Alps from my grandparents' apartment.
Yes.
And
let's get into a fine-off. I've been waiting for this segment my entire life.
It was such a waste when we went because I am so bad at skiing, and I must have been in middle school. So every time I would go down, I inevitably would just fall on my butt, and I would just go down on my butt.
Yes.
I would just slide down on my butt.
I feel like that's fun as a kid, though.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But my little sister was so much better. She was just instantly good at it, was just carving it up, and I was just going down on my butt.
See, Cheyenne's got a terrible story. When she first learned how to snowboard, she was like 7 or 8. She went with her brothers because it's like she grew up with 2 older brothers, and she's always like, I want to go. You know how little sisters are. So they finally bring her. And her brothers are like, I'm going to show her. They go to the top of a black diamond and leave her. They go down on their own. So Cheyenne had to learn how to snowboard on a black diamond all by herself.
Oh, my God.
It took her like 4 hours to get to the bottom.
I mean, she's just lucky she didn't, tear something.
She is a savant, man. She's good at whatever she tries. It could be her first time, and she's excellent at it. I hate it.
Oh, no wonder you're so intimidated by your fiance. It all makes. Not only is she funnier than you, but she's
funnier looking than me.
More
Get
adept.
It right.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Not true.
I love you, baby. Mwah.
615-737-1045 is the number. What were we supposed to talk about here? Was anybody?
Derek Carr. Let's talk about it next.
No, we're gonna do the
the thing that Buck teased for 1020.
No, run the tape. We'll talk about the 4 most important positions to prioritize of the Titans offseason coming up next.
set, let's ride.
Would you shut up? Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We are here at T-Line, where Lucas and Robert will soon take to the ice. They are very intimidated by the people who are currently curling out here.
Oh, they suck. They're terrible.
Hey,
they are just absolutely dreadful.
Well, there's no graceful way to do this, it seems. Like, you can't. It seems to be a very difficult sport to look athletic while doing, because that person that was out there sweeping, that was a very goofy.
Oh, I'm going to look
attempt.
very athletic.
You have never looked athletic at any point in your life.
That's just not true.
Yeah,
It's a low bar for athleticism on the show, but for Lucas to be the least athletic among us is pretty crazy. 615-737-1045 is the number. All right, what are we doing here, Lucas?
Oh, we're doing it now?
Yeah.
Okay, because you
I thought
teased
we
it
did this
for,
at 10:20.
10:20. We are ranking
Nobody
the
believes
4
you
biggest needs for the Titans.
when they know you don't listen to the show
will you
anyway.
Be quiet, please. Well, you're just bogging things down. The 4 highest priorities for the Titans of the offseason, as we are on the cusp of free agency. We are about 2 months away from the draft, and we have already listed 12 through 5. So basically,
should we rehash?
Have we all listed the same positions?
I don't think so.
In a different variation?
No, because you guys had something yesterday that is in my final 4.
So I'll go from 12 to 5 really quick for me. The least important position group to me was running back, off-ball linebacker, followed by special teams, then offensive tackle. Interior offensive line, safety, tight end, backup quarterback, because obviously Cam Ward exists. And then I have my final 4.
I had running back last, linebacker at 11, special teams at 10, quarterback at 9, tackle at 8, interior O-line at 7, safety at 6, tight end at 5.
And I had safety at 12, special teams at 11, quarterback at 10, linebacker at 9, tackle at 8, tight end at 7, running back at 6, and interior defensive line at 5.
Okay. So from there, I guess I'll take the first one here. The 4th most important position for them to address this offseason to me is their interior defensive line. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Jeffrey Simmons is the only proven commodity that they have on that defensive line. I don't know what Sweat is. Maybe you're excited about it. Maybe you think that I'm being too critical of T'Vondre Sweat. T'Vondre Sweat for a second-round pick has not been worth the squeeze at this point in time. You need more out of him. He's got incredible potential. But if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that I'm tired of talking about players who don't achieve their potential. T'Vondre Sweat is teetering, right? There was a lot of noise around interest in him potentially being moved at the trade deadline last year, and then Jordan Schultz did some good PR work after the fact on behalf of the Titans to make sure that everybody knew that he was basically going to be like a cornerstone of the franchise and all this kind of crap that, of course, was not completely accurate given what the dialogue was around T'Vondre Sweat leading up. Depth is critical. It's not just your top 2 that you need. I understand why people might feel that it's a luxury. You might say, well, you're just down on T'Vondre Sweat generally, maybe so. But until he shows that he is a proven commodity on that defensive line, Jeff's the only thing that I'm really working with. And so I think they need additional bodies up front that can impact the game the way that we see the best teams in the sport do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think it's okay to be excited about the possibility of T'Vondre Sweat as Robert Saleh takes over with Aaron Whitecotton coming in as the defensive line coach. But as of right now, it's Jeffrey Simmons, and what else are you going to do up front? Sebastian Joseph Day not under contract, correct?
No, he is a free agent.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of bringing Joseph Day back. I thought he's a really nice rotational piece, and again, you could continue to add to that during the draft.
He's just a good pro. So we'll see if that is something that happens. But, yeah, I have D-line at 4.
I have interior offensive line. I think that was 5 or 6 for both of you guys.
Yeah.
And my reasoning behind that, you're losing Kevin Zeitler, who was kind of an old maid anyway at the position. Like, he had a heralded track record, but he did not live up to those expectations when coming. He was supposed to be a calming force in between Lloyd Cushenberry and J.C. Latham. He was unable to achieve those heights. He is now a free agent. I think that they have to make, and because we included interior offensive line, both guard positions and center, I think they have to have a succession pick at center where I agree with Buck. Yesterday you said I would not cut Lloyd Cushenberry. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Coming off that Achilles, it was a necessary rehab year for him, but you need to have a succession plan at center. Is Jackson Slater your backup center? Because last year it was Blake Hance, who was also a free agent.
Well, no, last year it was Corey Levin.
And Corey Levin, who is also a free agent. So not only do you need a certain investment in free agency to make me feel like you have the depth here, I feel like they need a succession pick in the draft pick at both center and guard. You need to continue to restock that, because if you tie your hat to Slater and then he ends up being a nothing, which we don't really know what he is, but, I mean, with developmental offensive linemen like that, it's a coin flip. I would rather them restock that cupboard and then have a number of options and not have to go to the free agent pickover pile and go, well, Blake Hance can play a little bit of every position, but he can't play any of them well. We'll bring Corey Levin back. He's been in the league for a while. I need young guys that can start to be the Corey Levins, the guys that you can start to pour into. I think the interior is a huge thing, especially if JC is going to be a tackle. If he's going to stay at tackle, the right guard play has to improve. That's why I put interior offensive line at my number 4.
I mean, Levin was drafted in 2017. He's had a couple. I mean, he's been here for the last couple of years. He had, I think, a stint with the Pats, the Broncos, and the Bears between the first time that he got, or one of the last times that he got cut in Tennessee before they ultimately brought him back. Towards the end of the Vrabel-Carthon situation.
He was serviceable last year. If you want to bring him back, I wouldn't hate that. But I just think they need to get younger everywhere. Too many of these dudes are islands of misfit toys players where it's like, well, we don't really have anybody else, so let's sign this guy.
It's time for Mike Borgonzi to find his own version of Mason Kinsey and Corey Levin and these kind of players that have had longevity here but, have probably hit their ceiling.
So, your third highest need for the Titans this offseason.
I'm going to go a little bit counter to what conventional wisdom is, and I'm going to say wide receiver. They obviously need it. It's in the top 3. I'm not saying that they don't need a wide receiver. But I do think that I am in favor of keeping Calvin Ridley, and I don't know how many Titans fans are probably on that track. I understand that Calvin has been both unavailable and inconsistent and unreliable on top of that. So it's not like I have a glowing endorsement about Calvin Ridley. But Calvin with Brian Dable, I'd like to see how it works. If they decide through training camp that it's not sufficient, they can make him a post-June 1 designation and move on from him from there. I am excited about the idea of Chimere Dike growing more within the range of what he can do in offense. I think that Alec Iamaner is probably just a high-end NWI. We'll wait to see how much he can grow and improve as far as that goes. I am still in favor of wide receiver needs being addressed during the draft, but it sounds like, and Robert, I would defer to you because I know you study the draft a lot more in the lead-up before I catch up after the football season goes. It sounds like the depth of the draft at wide receiver is quality, but the top end of the wide receiver position is not what it has been in the last 2 years. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just to juxtapose the Titans picking at 4 and no wide receivers really making sense at 4, meaning they'll have to wait till the second round, I think that applies to them pretty strongly. Just because if you're going to get somebody in the second round, it's going to be a tier to 2 tiers below what you're getting in the first round.
Yeah, so I'm in favor of them addressing the wide receiver position in both elements of the offseason personnel acquisition, but I do not think it is among the top 2 priorities to me.
I am with you in principle that Calvin Ridley being brought back, to say being brought back makes it sound like they need to re-sign him. Calvin Ridley just being kept and not cut is probably the quickest path to a number 1 receiver this year for the Titans, as opposed to shelling out big money in free agency or drafting a Carnell Tate at 4 or whoever that might be. Like, Calvin Ridley, if he is healthy, is your quickest path to a true wide receiver 1. That is such a huge if, though, based on last season. So I have corner at number 3 here. And corner is a huge need. Like, make no mistake, I think all of our top 3s can be interchangeable in any way. They don't really have any corners.
They have Snead, right? They have Snead.
Yeah, he's under contract.
Snead and Marcus Harris.
Marcus Harris is
on
his rookie contract.
Baker is like an exclusive rights free agent,
right,
I believe.
And Darrell Baker. So That is a massive need.
They don't have anybody at corner.
And I don't even feel like that much more needs to be said there.
Respect.
Yeah, the cornerback position is what it is. It kind of got pilfered last season, in some cases by the Titans' own doing, trading away Jarvis Brownlee, and that is a near empty room that they're going to have to build out essentially from scratch.
That's why to me it's a higher priority, because they have less there.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say that they have less at corner than they do at wide receiver, given the nature of their wide receiver situation, but you do definitively know more about the wide receivers in Tennessee than you do about the corners. I couldn't. Did you see Bullock at Super Bowl Radio Row? I think. I
did see this.
He really, and he's made some strong criticisms of L'Jarius Sneed before, but I think he sat down with Stillman, if I'm not mistaken, and really took a hatchet.
Called Sneed a front runner. I think it's kind of in it when things are good.
I'd leave that commentary to people who have played the game. I'm not myself comfortable making that criticism, but I will say that L'Jarius Sneed has been he has sucked a lot of the life out of what they tried to accomplish with his own indiscretion on the field, and frankly, he's just not been good enough. I know that they kept it close against teams like the Rams early on because L'Jarius Sneed made a couple of nice plays in the end zone. He's had moments where you're like, oh, okay, that's a guy that you would like to see play on a more regular basis. But the highs and lows where he just, got dusted by Nico Collins in Houston after talking at all. Just the entire L'Jarius Sneed experience needs to be shot into the sun as quickly as humanly possible. I think that's the biggest question that I have for Mike Borgonzi on the personnel front is, you guys keep endorsing this guy at every turn. Are you willing to continue to allow this experiment to play out? Because technically he still has 2 years under contract. I'd cut him tomorrow.
What's been the peak of the Sneed experience? Like, what has been his best moment? He was solid against Devontae Adams. Like, Sneed won some, Adams won some.
That's probably it.
The Cardinals game, like, he doesn't really make contact with the ball on the DiMercato fumble, but like just
there
the
was
fact
effort,
that, just the effort
that he showed effort the one time, right?
But that's how low the bar has been for Sneed. So I'm with you on that. Ready to move on from that experience, but a lot of work to be done there at corner.
Robert, you disagree?
I don't disagree. I agreed with you. I have wide receiver at my number 3, but for a little bit different reason. I think they need different body types of guys that do different things, and they did a good job in adding DK and Manor last year. But we talked about in Brian Dable's offense, like, there is a role for a gadget-type player who they do not have. Now, I'm not endorsing going out and paying Wan'Dale Robinson whatever Wan'Dale Robinson's worth.
He's available.
But if you can find a guy who can fill that role and then also make an investment of a succession pick for Sneed, someone that can grow into a role that maybe supplements what DK and Manor can do, I think that's what they should do. They need to get younger. They need to get rid of a bunch of these other jabronis that are just taking up caps.
Word.
The person that comes to mind, his name rhymes with Roche.
Oh, my God.
Who is a free agent.
He's not on the roster
I don't
anymore.
think they should bring him back.
He can't hurt you anymore.
But again,
well, he can.
A number of dudes in that, I believe they carried 6 or 7. Wide receivers last year. That 5, 6, and 7 spot need to be rookies or UDFA developmental guys that you trust. Not getting rid of Bryce Oliver, but they need some more young guys.
Oliver is another one that you want to see more return on investment. Now, again, the investment level in Bryce Oliver has not been high, but I was optimistic about Bryce Oliver, and then obviously, he got robbed basically the entire season.
UDFA out of what was it, Youngstown State?
If you're unfamiliar, UDFA contracts are 3 years. So this is the end of his developmental runway. If you don't see enough out of him this year, you probably just let him walk. Like, hey, dude, we gave you 3 years to really flash and show something to break through. But still, and without seeing the snaps or anything, I would imagine he's a serviceable special teams player worth keeping for this stint. But again, a succession pick at wide receiver that would help supplement some of these other guys that are, as I put, jabronis.
Wan'Dale Robinson does have the Brian Dable connection, obviously, from New York.
What Xavier Restrepo seems to be for Titans fans, Bryce Oliver is for me. I would rather see him play than Xavier Restrepo.
He is an excellent special teamer. All right, number 2.
I just did my number 2. It's corner.
That's right. You had corner. Robert?
I also have corner, but for the exact same reasons. The fact that they have absolutely nothing there, this would be my 1B. I couldn't even put it at 2. It's just such a necessary investment from them to where we talked about in free agency at the interior line. I need you to sign somebody and draft somebody. I would like them to sign somebody and maybe draft 2 somebodies. Like, there needs to be some depth here, and not not a late investment like a 5th or 6th round pick. There needs to be some high premium draft pick involved in bringing somebody with real talent here, so it's not Baker or whoever, whatever. Again, Island of Misfit toy you plucked off free agency. It needs to be a dude there.
That's why that Jarvis Brownlee trade will never make sense to me. That just that you find that guy in the 5th round. That just give you a body. What else do you have to work with? Like,
and he was so cheap, like
that's
for
what I'm saying.
a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, we've litigated that over and over.
We certainly have.
I have wide receiver at 2 for all the reasons that we've already stated. This team hasn't had a true number 1 receiver threat since A.J. Brown, who John Robinson traded away. Not much more needs to be said there. Titans desperately need somebody that can separate on a consistent level.
So the rare consensus among all 3 of us, edge is the number 1 Titans offense or offseason need in 2026. You know what I'm fascinated by? What the hell they're going to do with Femi? Because what is Femi Oladejo in a Robert Saleh defense where we didn't really even get to see him in a Denard Wilson defense?
Femi Oladejo is one of the most important players on the Titans roster this year, in my mind.
And
important?
Yes, like you need to get something out of Femi Oladejo, your 2nd-round pick from last year.
What if they end up moving, this is just a complete hypothetical, but what if they were to end up moving him back to off-ball?
I don't think they would necessarily have to do that because his skill set kind of fits into being the outside linebacker that's off the end that can be dropped into coverage. Like, my least favorite thing about Twitter evaluators are people be like, why the hell did they drop this linebacker into coverage? Why would you do that?
Titans fans did that a lot with Harold Landry.
But that's his skill set.
Yeah.
That's his skill set. He can rush the passer, and he can drop back and give you a little athleticism in the flat. I think that his system kind of lends itself to Femi. But, I mean, and that's just me. That's just a novice eye. Someone like Stoney or that looks in the breakdown of all these positions would have a better answer to that. But I think that it would go to Femi's benefit. It would also go to his benefit if they would add someone who is a true pass rusher. They could use him situationally in positions where it benefits to have a guy like that on the field and not try to square peg, round hole him into being a pure pass rusher, which he is not. He's still learning the position.
I would not hate bringing back Jahad Ward.
No, I'm so in favor of that.
Another year.
Hell, I'd bring back Arden, but I don't know if Mike Borgonzi feels that way about Arden.
Arden would have worked with Saleh, right? In San Francisco or no?
Oh, maybe Jacksonville. No, Jacksonville was later. It would have been San Francisco.
He was in San Fran in 2021, so no, that would have been Saleh's first year in New York.
Yep, I think they like ships in the night.
Yes.
Arden had, a couple of different spots, right? Because he went Oakland to San Fran to Jacksonville to here.
Yeah.
I think that if you could get Arden back as a 4th or 5th edge guy, Jahad Ward is a different kind of a player, physically different kind of a player. He's definitely, you don't want that guy to lead your team in pressures the way that I think he did, outside of Jeff, the way that I think he led their edge group in pressures. That's not his game. It's just they ran out of bodies at the end.
I see it a little differently where if they're going to make a heavy investment into the edge position, like Arden would almost be a roadblock. Like, I would want these guys to get playing time. I would want them to get snaps with a better squad than the 3rd team or 2nd team. I wouldn't want someone who has the veteran edge over someone to stand in their development's way.
No, nor would I. I'm just saying if you could if Arden was comfortable being relegated to what he is, which is a 3rd down situational pass rush type of player, then I would rather see Arden off the bench, not at the sake of, it's kind of like the wide receiver argument last year. I don't want Van Jefferson playing where there are opportunities for Ironmanner and DK to get snaps. It matters far more for their development. So you and I are on the same page.
Yeah, and he would be a later signing. He wouldn't be someone they prioritize first week of March. Oh, we got to get this guy.
They could get him into camp.
It would be after the compensatory pick schedule drops. It's like, okay, UDFAs no longer count towards this. Everybody's price drops a little bit, and you'll be able to squeeze a little bit of money out of it.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Good job by you.
I feel like we learned a lot about each other along the way.
Did we?
It was really the friends we made along the way. That's what this list was.
I saw a comment in the chat earlier that said, you know what makes this show cool? The fact that we're all 3 best friends, not just on the air, but off.
Well, I'm glad that our lie is being picked up.
I had to think about that for a second. Like, I don't know about
We're
that.
the 3 best friends that any. Actually, Buck would
fart?
be.
All right, go to break.
Yes, I did.
All right. Let's put a bow on this bad boy for the day. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045 is the number. All right. You ready?
I am ready to get out there.
You got enough advice from your curling gurus who you spoke with earlier?
All about balance, all about putting your weight into the sweeping, and it's all about the friends we make along the way, as Robert said. But first, I'm looking forward to a crispy, cold beer. And
are you going to imbibe, are you?
What's that?
You're going to drink? That's what that means. That word means, imbibe.
Imbibe?
Yes.
Never heard that before. Yes, I'm going to enjoy a couple of cold beverages, watch some men's hockey as Team USA takes on Latvia coming up at 2:10 p.m. Central Time. And that's the beauty about this place. You do not have to curl.
No, it's just a great sports bar.
It's just a great sports bar, cool patio out front. There are bowling lanes, plenty of TVs. The menu looks fantastic. I don't know what I want to dig into.
I've eaten here before. The food's really good.
Yes, burgers, pizzas, wings, appetizers, all sorts of stuff. So I am looking forward to finding and trying some of the local fare here at T-Line Nashville on Duluth Avenue. Very cool spot, cool idea, especially during the Winter Olympics.
So Derek Carr is back in the news cycle here in the last couple of days. He and his brother are doing a podcast because, again, everybody – all right, where are we? I would have liked Robert's input on this, but I can't – he seems to have
He's
been
smoking a cig.
Stolen for a cigarette break with Kirby. They're 17th of the show. We only have, 6 commercial breaks. Where are we on former athletes with podcasts? Because I do think that they are excellent to a point. I enjoy the insight of former players on the game itself because I thought, I don't give Taylor and Will a lot of credit for much, but I do think that they get better versions of those athlete interviews because it's more relatable for them to sit down with Taylor and Will than it would be, any other media member who is not in their locker room, has not gone through the same kind of things that they've gone through. I do think that the James Harrison example that you cited earlier, where he's saying that Mike Tomlin shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he has, in part, no coaches that have ever been hired as head coaches off of his coaching tree, which is factually inaccurate. I feel like we're oversaturated in the athlete podcast marketplace. We're oversaturated in the podcast marketplace to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think we've jumped the shark on how many former athletes. James Harrison, great player. I don't know. I really care what James Harrison got on a podcast, to be honest with you.
But the point is, Derek Carr said on his podcast earlier this week how much he loves Aaron Glenn and how much he loves Jets fans, and he's just speaking glowingly about the Jets organization, something that not many people do. It's one of those things that I love how the Jets are so bad as an organization that it's an immediate red flag when somebody is speaking glowingly about the organization, about, Aaron Glenn, and all this, and the Jets fans. It's like, something's up there. You're not saying that because I'm not saying Jets fans aren't great. Jets fans are
passionate.
Some of the best of us in terms of passion amongst the fan base. But it went very under the radar. Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo, the NFL insiders on NFL Network were doing their show live from outside of Levi Stadium Sunday before the Super Bowl. Just a bunch of quick hitter headlines, and included in that was the possibility that Derek Carr could very well be coming out of retirement, that he's healthy, that he's in good shape, and he could be a veteran bridge option for a team with a big quarterback need in the offseason. And then only a couple days later, you have him talking glowingly about Aaron Glenn and Jets fans.
So which nobody says ever.
Everybody's putting 2 and 2 together there, and suddenly it feels very real that Derek Carr could come out of retirement to play for the Jets.
Would he? Well, what a decision that would be. I think I would rather be retired than play for the Jets. I mean, I get that there's only so many of those paydays left where you're making tens of millions of dollars, especially in the current quarterback marketplace. But I don't know, man. that New York Jets experience, it's down there with the last 2 years of the Titans and with the Browns just perpetually, as Raiders also belong in this category. It just seems like it's an unrelenting hell.
It would be a little bit full circle. Remember, before we knew Rodgers was going to the Jets, it would have been Derek Carr.
Yeah.
He got dinner with Robert Saleh and the team and met with the front office. He was very much option B to Rodgers being option A, and obviously Rodgers ends up in New York. We know how that turned out. So Derek Carr seems like the type of guy that, is not exactly made for retirement.
Would he be the best available free agent quarterback immediately?
Oh.
Because it's between him and Kirk, right? With all due respect to Malik Willis, who obviously has more upside to achieve, it feels like.
Yeah. No, Malik is still.
It's a conversation between Carr and Kirk.
Yes, Malik is very much a projection.
Carr at the end was, not good.
Well, and he's 34, so he's 3 years younger than Kirk Cousins. He'll be 35 here in about a month, so he'll be 35 this coming season. Kirk Cousins, I believe, will be 38 this season. I very cautiously say I would lean towards Kirk. The landing spot matters here too, right? Like Kirk, I'd feel much better about Kirk Cousins reuniting with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota than I would anybody going to the Jets.
It's the Jets,
much less
right.
Derek Carr coming out of retirement.
The landing spot there matters for the purpose of the conversation, because anybody who goes to the Jets is, I don't know, they feel a bit doomed.
Yeah, if you had to put money on which of those two specific scenarios would be more likely to work out, I'd go with the Minnesota
Which
one.
is crazy to think about, because think about the draft assets that the Jets have right now. They just can't, they have nowhere to go with them, really. I mean, they can address multiple needs in the draft this coming year, but, they need a quarterback solution, and this is the year where it does not benefit them to have multiple first-round picks, assuming that the Raiders are not going to listen to many offers, if any offers, on Fernando Mendoza.
Jets have the number 2 pick. Who's QB2 as of right now? Ty Simpson?
I think most estimates would have Ty Simpson as a late first-round, early second-round pick.
It would have to be one hell of a pre-draft process for Ty Simpson to work his way into, top 5 pick status.
Well, and I mean, if you're the Jets, theoretically, you could trade back from 2 and get Ty Simpson later, but, who's trading up? Who really needs Arvell Reese, for example, that badly that they would need to pay the price to come up to 2? It's a really tough spot for New York.
Yeah, last year was unique in that way, that you saw a team trade up for 2 for a player that was not a quarterback, but we're talking about a very unique player in Travis Hunter doing things that we have never seen in the modern era in college football. When's the last time a team traded back into that tier of the draft for a non-quarterback?
It's a good question. Well, we have one more show tomorrow to talk about it. We'll be back in studio. But in the meantime, we can wrap this thing up with some polls.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Who has the better NCAA tournament resume, Vanderbilt or Tennessee? 72% go with Vanderbilt.
That is correct.
Which rebuild tier would you place the Titans in? A few moves away, halfway there, or a full-blown overhaul? 63% say halfway there, 28% say full-blown overhaul, 9% say a few moves away.
I'd like to meet those 9%.
I mean, in reality, it's somewhere between halfway there and full-blown overhaul.
Yeah, I just didn't think that they were. They're closer to a third of the way done than they are halfway, right? But then I just felt like I was kind of nitpicking a little bit.
I'd say more a fourth of the way done, but yes, it is not a from-scratch build.
They got Jeff, they got Cam. Figure it out.
Yeah, and you've got some rookie pieces that could end up taking another step for you. Fair or foul, Derek Carr would be the best free agent quarterback option if he unretires. 65% say foul.
Okay. I assume most would then answer Kirk Cousins as the best available free agent quarterback, because I don't think you could make a good faith argument for Malik right now.
If Kirk gets released, which appears as though it will be the case, who gets more money, Malik or Kirk? Who gets a bigger deal? Malik, right?
Malik. Well, you know what would be curious? Are you just talking about AAV or guaranteed money?
AAV.
I bet Malik would get a higher average. I bet Kirk would probably get more guarantees just because of what he's been and who his agent has been his entire career on getting the guaranteed money.
Yeah, how much of Justin Fields' deal was guaranteed with New York?
Off the top of my head.
It was 2 years, $40 million, but
it wasn't that.
Yeah, it won't end up being.
There's a lot of monopoly money in that deal.
Malik very much feels like the Justin Fields of this offseason with a smaller sample size. What is the top Titans personnel need this offseason? Wide receiver, edge, interior defensive line, or cornerback? The majority agree with you, me, and Robert. 52% say edge, 26% say receiver, 21% say corner, only 1% say interior D-line.
Yeah, not as the top offseason priority, but certainly among the top 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it. Those are the polls?
Those are the polls. Come see us at T-Line.
Very good. You can watch Lucas and Robert curl. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We will see you tonight on the Primetime Show.